The College Football Experience Mountain West and Pac-2 2024 schedule release breakdown episode on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Cut. Cut is a peer-to-peer social betting platform that's U.S.-based and available in 40 different states. Head to cut.com. That's KUTT.com. Use that promo code SGPN for a 10% deposit bonus. We're also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Play their fantasy pickup for a chance to win 100 times the amount of money you enter in NBA, NHL, college basketball, and much, much more. Sign up today using the promo code SGPN to get a 100% deposit match. We're also brought to you by Champs. Run your own March Madness pool and enter Champs' free bracket contest for a chance to win $1,000. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/champs to enter today. And we're also brought to you by Hall of Fame Bets. Yes, the sports betting research platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit HOFbets.com. Use that promo code SGPN to get 50% off your first month and start making smarter bets today, people. And remember, as always, folks, to let it ride.
This is Mike Leach, head football coach at Mississippi State. And you're listening to SGPN. Let it ride.
Breakdown episode, and it's March, but we still love and we talk college football non-stop, folks. Get over to youtube.com/thecollegeexperience. Watch this shit, all right? Watch it live, all right? If you're wondering who the hell you're listening to, my name is Colby Swing at Database Dan, aka Pick Dundee. That's not a pick, this is a pick.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
When Dundee happened, he was a superstar.
And you're nothing but a chameleon, lemon-headed, coward, terrorist pussy. And I'm after you, buddy. You're going to pay for it. Good night.
Nice beaver.
Oh, yes, the Beavs. What does he say? The Doc's alive. Back to the Future. The Doc's alive. The Beavs and the Cougs are alive, baby. Fucking Pac-10 bitch-ass universities besides Oregon State, Washington State. I hope you fucking all go winless, all right? I'm excited for this new Mountain West. Shout out to Jay. He said, I showed the David Thompson video to friends at work. It's been a hit. It is a hit. That is a classic certified platinum in my mind. I am joined by my co-host. Give it up for former JMU Duke defensive back, the burrito eating, sideline kiss stealing, wheeling and dealing, Patty C in the place to be.
Hi-oh!
Let's get it going. I love the Mountain West. It's one of the look, and even the Mountain West is taking realignment hits. They used to have Utah and TCU, BYU.
Oh, yeah.
They've been adjusting.
They reload.
Yeah, they reload, and like the Mountain West basketball, holy shit. You don't need the Pac-12. Like, for basketball, you can just hit Control-Alt-Delete, get the fuck out of here, because the Mountain West basketball is way better. They actually have full stadiums. It's fantastic. I think you can kind of say that for football, too. Give it up for third man in the boot, the DFS god himself, the rooftop IPA drinking, homebrew making, tobacco road living, the free lot giving, former Herndon Basketball League MVP. Give it up for NC Nick in the place to be.
There we go. What's up, guys? Like you said, Colby, March is not just college basketball. It's still college football because college football is year-round.
It is
That's
year
right.
round. And
Speaking of which, though, you are right about that. I'm looking at old teamrankings.com, which gives pretty much the best breakdown as far as projections that I see as far as bracketology. Mountain West, third among projected NCAA tournament bids by conference, behind Big 12 with 7.9, SEC with 7.1. Boom. Then Mountain West, 6.3, ahead of the Big 10.
as they
And the
should.
ACC, pretty crazy. And the
Yep.
Pac-12, obviously.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, at least the ACC still got guys. You watch the Big Ten, it's like watching basketball. It's like the Big Ten West infected the whole conference in basketball. The Big
They
Ten West
haven't-
football just said, "Oh yeah, basketball, take some of this." All right, and
rest in peace, the Big Ten West. It's going to be. I'm going to miss making fun of the Big Ten West.
yeah, that's fair. That's fair. And now we have. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but to me, I know NC Nick's a Sun Belt specialist. I know Patty C with JMU residing in the Sun Belt. And with ECU and the AAC, you would think I'm an AAC guy. No, Mountain West.
There's no feel to the AAC.
Yeah. Mountain West is way cooler than the AAC.
I totally agree.
Way fucking cooler than the AAC.
Regionality, continuity, you
Yeah.
know, and some swagger. Yeah.
Last year, Colby and I went to Laradice. We saw App State, a Sun Belt opponent, take on Wyoming. Fantastic environment, great game. Both of those two schools, those universities, they do college football right. That's what we love about college football. It's not all about Alabama versus Georgia. Let me go watch Wyoming. Let me go watch App State. I mean, that is college football.
That's a
And
hell of a game.
they're trying to ruin this shit, man. I keep seeing people say,
know.
"Oh, the separation." The separation. This is what I see Andy Staples tweeting out. This is what the separation should look like. Hey, fuck you, buddy. All right. Don't do that. Don't recommend that. All
You know
right.
what,
We
though?
don't
I mean,
want that.
There will always be very good Mountain West football, regardless of what the major conferences do. You know, that's not going anywhere. You know, is it worse? Yeah, because, you know, in previous years, they weren't too far off from the major conferences. They could come up and beat a major conference. And with the money getting drastically different, maybe that won't happen again. But that doesn't mean like those games against each other, that's not changing. That will always be there.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. The money they're getting from TV contracts, like by percentage, does that completely override like the NIL money that could be coming in from boosters? Like, I feel like whatever the per year contract, like $50 million per year that some of these schools are getting, I feel like some of these boosters individually could match that, you know? I mean, maybe not. Maybe that's an insane
for like
figure.
Wyoming, no way.
Yeah, maybe not for like Wyoming, but like the likes of a Houston, you know, now they're power 5 or power 4. But before it's like, all right, whatever.
It's also access, though. It's access to the college football playoffs, you know. And if you're going to have one G5 school spread out, so the Mountain West might get one every 3 or 4 years or so. Meanwhile, a major conference is getting multiple ones every year. So it's not just the money, but it's also access.
Yeah, there's
and
a lot of things.
So, you know, so major conferences are limiting both. They're saying Mountain West, they're saying Sun Belt, we want to give you less access and less money. Yeah, we want more access and we want more money.
Internet ruined it all. College football is better before the internet. All right, let's go.
Of course, without streaming, it was kind of hard to catch some of these games, but you know,
True, but still, you were there in spirit when you go see the highlights on ESPN back when they actually showed highlights of the Mountain West. You'd be like, "Hey, this is great." There is a little bit of news. The college football game, EA Sports, it's coming back finally. Hey, Ed O'Bannon, I'll also extend a fuck you to you too, buddy. I hope you enjoyed your $600. All right. Arch Manning, though, typical Manning.
Yeah,
Typical Manning. Hey, look, let's have a powwow on the Manning family being the worst family on America. All right. Arch Manning says he will not be a part. He wants to focus on football. And the irony is he doesn't want to be a distraction. I would say this is more of a distraction than just going along with the fucking the video game. But by you stating so we're gonna have QB Texas. Shout out to Tech Mobile as the third stringer on Texas.
Did Arch Manning not want to be a distraction when his name was printed in the end zone of Ole Miss for one of their games?
He said that wasn't him. That was only his dad calling saying, "Hey, you could do this."
And is it really a distraction that you're in EA Sports? I mean, where's the distraction at? I don't understand.
Maybe I think the distraction is he'd be power rated 56 out of 100. So then he'd be like, "Oh shit, is this really the top recruit in the nation?" I mean, what a bitch. He's like, "I don't need the 600 because I made $5 million at Texas." I don't know.
I mean, I get it if if you think your name holds value and you don't want to give the value for free, but what else are you going to do with it? Yeah. So it doesn't make any sense. I mean,
you got man. 2 or 3 years before you're selling it. Before your name and whatever. I mean, it's stupid, but yeah, you can sell your name as much as you want to. It's not like you said, there's not a competing video game that's going to demand exclusive rights to his name.
Right. Right. Exactly. And then to bring it back to the Mountain West, I think Colby was at the Mountain West Media Day last year talking to, was it the UNLV quarterback at the time? And he was so excited to see himself in the video game.
Yeah. He said he didn't even care. He's like, I don't even need that. He's like, right. Because I speculated and it said $200 or $300, or maybe I said 500. I don't remember. But I asked him this question. I said, now, is this something that he goes, I don't care about the money. I want to be in the video game. That's something we'll have forever. I'll be able to play with my kids.
Yeah. Awesome.
That's why it's an all-time best move. Yeah.
And maybe he probably didn't need $500. First off, what's $500? I mean, seriously, what?
Yeah.
You're going to last 2 weeks off $500 or something. So the money is not the point, So, but if somebody was going to need it, it would be him and not Eli, or not Eli, but whatever.
Yeah. Well, Eli, remember, he was drafted by the Chargers and said, I will not play for the San Diego Chargers. I'm telling you, just who's the worst family? I know you had that family in South Carolina that killed a bunch of people, but I mean, I think they're a little worse. I feel like they're on similar levels. The Mannings and the Murdaughs are on similar levels. No, am I going too far here?
No, I think you're. It's ballpark, same ballpark at least.
The Mannings or the Clintons? Of course, I guess the Clintons have killed a lot of people too, so that's not fair.
That's true. They both, they're all in the mix here. But what was the daughter's name again that Butthead tried to have sex with?
Chelsea.
Yeah. Remember when Butthead accidentally went through the White House and abused and butted to America? And he says, "I see you have braces. I have braces too."
I think Chelsea, that's animation, Colby.
she's out of it though, right? I've never heard her name in fucking years.
She's kept a low profile, probably best.
We're fucking idiots.
No, I'm making a strong case that they're the worst family in America. All right.
All right. Say they're the worst sports family. Worse than the Balls?
The Balls,
because they sustain the spotlight and continue to be.
The Balls went away. He finally got the message, like, you know what?
Yeah. But the Mannings have earned the spotlight a little bit. The Balls,
Eli Manning, dude, he's nominated for the Hall of Fame. That is the biggest crock of shit I've ever heard in my life.
I completely agree. Yeah. I mean, a slightly above average quarterback.
I mean, we're gonna put Neil O'Donnell in there. If you take away those interceptions against Larry Brown, the guy had a good career. Yeah, so I would say, and just the fact that Eli Manning gets drafted and I won't do this,
I mean, there's not much competition. I'm trying to think of a family. I mean, now you see
the Griffeys. The Griffeys are okay, I think.
They're fine. Yeah, the Kelseys, the whole, Swift thing.
They're a little annoying.
Yeah, a little annoying. But you got the Currys, Dell and Steph and Seth.
I don't think anybody's got a problem with them.
Yeah, I'm okay with them.
A little bit.
Really? I don't find any.
What's your problem with them?
It's more Steph than any of the other ones. I just find, it just got a little too superstarish for my taste. He's not bad. He's not that bad.
Yeah. If anything, he did the opposite of Eli Manning. The Warriors, no one wanted to go to the Warriors. He's like, I'm going to go to the Warriors. I'm going to change.
And he went to Davidson.
That's what I'm saying. It's the opposite of Eli Manning.
The Harbaughs?
No, they're great. They're great. Like the Harbaughs are top.
I mean, I could see being annoyed by them. But
all right, what about the Lucks?
The who?
Andrew's Oliver and Andrew.
Right. Well, Oliver Luck tried to sue Vince McMahon. He's an ECU grad.
Andrew quit on football in his mid-20s.
That's true. He went backpacking up in fucking Europe, and then I heard him
actually.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of he pulled an Office Space with the NFL. Roger Goodell was Lumberg, and he was just like, you know what? I'm done with your shit. I'm done with your shit, Lumberg.
No more TPS reports.
It's hard to really hate on the Luck family, even though I think I can make it an all right case. But yeah, I mean, what else? We got the Matthews, Clay, Bruce, the son.
That's a majestic American family right there.
You got the kid that played at Oregon, and then you got the USC guy. Was that Clay also? Is that Clay Jr.?
Yeah, I think there's Clay Jr. and then
you got the Shanahans, but I don't think anybody has a problem with the Shanahans.
Yeah, they're both kind of So they're like.
Yeah,
they're good football coaches, but they're kind of vanilla, you know. The McCaffreys,
a little annoying, maybe a lot annoying. Yeah, Colby convinced me Christian McCaffrey is a bit annoying, and I can see it.
Oh, I've never liked him. He's always seems like an asshole to me. But you know,
still,
I have no.
What's the worst he's done?
Yeah, he's not on the level of a Manning. He's not on the level of a Manning.
All right.
Yeah, we've beaten
this horse.
If you want another episode on, like, what about the Penn family? You got Chris Penn, Sean Penn. You know, you got the.
Oh, we're going to Hollywood now.
The Sheens. We're talking families in America. You think Charlie Sheen is on the Manning level? No, he's fucking Rick Vaughn. You know,
he's a lovable figure, even though through all of his problems, people don't. I don't think everybody hates, except for our mom, who somehow really hates.
Yeah,
Sheen.
I feel like Martin Sheen was a solid guy.
Yeah,
and not a very good parent, not a very good dad.
I do have a great story about them giving him acid when he was 9 years old at a birthday party. That is a little different. Perhaps they should have done that.
The Watts. I don't think anybody has a problem with the Watts. I mean, TJ Watt's a player. JJ's kind of an annoying announcer, or like not announcer, but studio personality. He sucks there.
Keep him away from the studio, in my opinion. Please keep him away from the studio. Good football player.
Mountain West football.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, the Kardashians. Okay, I'm sorry. That takes the cake. That takes the cake. Manning's after the Kardashians, and the Murdaughs and Clintons will reassess on another episode. Folks, let's get into this. But before I do that, I want to tell you that the college football experience is brought to you by Cut. Cut is a peer-to-peer social betting platform that's U.S.-based and available in 40 different states. P2P social betting is a new and better way to bet. Bet directly against your friends or other users on sports, politics, pop culture, and other events with verifiable outcomes, plus tons of fun social features that give it a feel of a betting social network, so to speak. It Cut offers lower vig and fully customizable odds. You can create your own bets. Cut handles the payment side of things too, so you can you never have to chase down old Stevie. You know, you got to wait outside his house. You don't have to do that. All right, Cut's going to handle all that. Social features include group chats, betting leaderboards, head-to-head history, user profiles, fan groups, and much, much more. So download the Cup app today, or visit cut.com. That's KUTT.com. Or use that promo code SGPN for a 10% deposit bonus. We're also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy is the easiest place to play fantasy sports. It's also the fastest growing fantasy app in the industry. Pick whether your favorite player has a higher or lower stat total in this week's game for a chance to win big. You can win up to 100 times the amount of money you enter in a single night. So sign up today with the promo code SGPN to get your first deposit doubled up to $100, as well as an instant pickup special. We're playing all of this with daily college hoops. There's so many player, stats that you can take the higher or lower on. They have it for college football, but obviously we're months away from games. So there's NHL, there's NBA. Visit UnderdogFantasy.com or find them in the App Store. And don't forget to register with the promo code SGPN to get your first deposit doubled up to $100, as well as an instant pickup special. Underdog Fantasy, promo code TCE SGPN.
Can we do one more thing on families? Because I saw Kason Hightower said soon will be the James family. And I don't know if Patty C knows this, but I was watching Cincinnati basketball. And, Edgar and James's son, Jizzle James, plays for Cincinnati.
I had seen the name Jizzle James.
He's got another son that plays on the Howard football team.
Really? Okay. Well, I was going to say, that's a cool family because, Jizzle James, that's the best name ever. But I'm pretty sure Kason means LeBron James's family.
Yeah, although I don't know that Bronny's looking like he's going to make the NBA here.
Not
based on how
soon.
He's a freshman. Everyone's giving this guy – he's a freshman who had a heart attack like a month before the season. Give the guy a fucking break here.
Maybe I'm judging him for USC's overall performance this year as a team. Underwhelming.
Best family, the Blades. hands down.
Oh, it's a badass family.
Al,
You
Benny,
got like 10.
Al Jr.
There was the
Brian.
one Blades that went to
Brian.
Pitt, played linebacker at Pitt. I think I was Al Blades Jr. But then you had a bunch more.
There was Justin Blades on Duke last year.
Yeah, the Blades family.
Plus one of
kicks
the
ass
coolest
life.
fucking names.
Yeah. Especially down there in Florida too, because you got like the Everglades. Blades.
I'm surprised we haven't mentioned the Sanders family with Coach Prime and Shadur and DB.
Shiloh. Shiloh, who
right.
actually and Shiloh's my favorite of them because he's the one that wants to bring back old school football because he knows how pussy the game of football is being played today.
Did gain some major points with that post.
Yes. Sanders family. Yeah, Sanders family's good by me. Good by me.
True. All right. Enough with families. I'm sorry to bring it back up.
Frank Stallone and Sly Stallone though are still packing heat. All right, you can't just throw Frank Stallone. Have you ever listened to his records, Nick?
No, I didn't know he had records.
No, I heard he's like a fucking like his brother is a legit opera singer, right? Or something like that.
Really?
Well,
Yeah, he's got like one of those beautiful voices.
Go listen to his records.
Jay's got to bring up the Hurleys. That's a good one.
No, they're horrible, actually.
That's a good one.
They're really annoying. They're worse than the McCaffreys to me. Danny Hurley on the sidelines of he's like, you know how we all hated Grayson McCall, except Nick did
Grayson Allen.
Grayson Allen.
Don't you?
We love Grayson McCall. Well, no, he joined NC State, so I direct some hate there too. Wait, Grayson Allen.
Yes.
Nick, did you even like him at Duke?
He was hard to like.
I feel like Danny Hurley is Grayson Allen in coach form.
I've seen you make this comparison, and there's some similarities for sure.
It's like he goes so over the top on like a missed call or something.
Yeah, I mean he's the type of guy where like if you're a UConn fan, you like him, but everybody else can't stand him for sure.
You know, that would make an interesting segment we ought to hit sometime. Admitting a player on your team, on one of your favorite teams that you had a real hard time rooting for.
Well, I mean, you don't have to go back too far with our court storming episode. I mentioned that Filipowski is a guy who's also, he's hard to like. So Duke's had a couple of those guys, but
No, I feel like normally you have that for all of your teams.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? There's always for your teams. There's always one guy that drives you absolutely fucking crazy. You know what I mean? So I feel a lot of times at least. All right. What do you make? So the Mountain West doing 7 conference games, and they have this allegiance. I don't think this is a handshake deal. I think they actually have this in writing. This is not like the what was that deal between the ACC,
the Big Ten and the Pac-12.
Oh, the Alliance.
The Alliance, yes. They actually have something in written form where they must play Washington State or Oregon State. They're getting a bunch of games in there with Washington State and Oregon State. So that counts as like a conference game, but not a conference game because it's not going to reflect the teams that are in the championship game. But it is weird because you're only playing a 7-game conference schedule, but they're kind of like brothers. I don't know.
It's bizarre.
So it does or it does not count as a conference?
No, but everyone's playing them. Every single team is playing one of the two.
At least one of them.
Yeah.
Right. And some of the teams get both.
Yes. And
it's smart.
So
I don't know if it's that smart. I don't know if it is.
Well, you see the Pac-2, not Larry Scott, but Klavikov was actually relieved of his duty. Now they have a new commissioner, and they have that war chest of $500 million that they won in court.
Yeah.
And they said they're going to be proactive. I mean, I have no idea if to laugh at that or to say, wait a second, are you going to like join forces? I will say this.
I think it's hilarious that there's a commissioner for 2 teams.
Yeah. Couldn't you just put the coach?
Right, just make 2 co-commissioners, the two ADs of both both schools, right?
Yeah, and I mean, I don't even know what to make of it. Like I said, talking to people recently, they're saying, man, Washington State basketball is really fucking good this year, right? And they've been good in football really over the past 10 years. They've been good. Even last year they were 5-7, but they still were they passed the eye test. They should have been a bowl team. And Oregon State was really good in football lately. Not in basketball lately. Well, over the past 2 or 3 years, but 4 years ago, I think they had an Elite 8 run. So if you add them to the Mountain West, or if they create their own little Pac 14, you know what I mean? I do think it's a pretty cool conference. What are your
I
thoughts?
think it's really smart. I think it's really smart because you're in a state of limbo, where they want to hold on to the financial, benefits of maintaining the Pac-12 for the 2 years that it's going to continue to exist before it has to disband. And then you're positioning yourself to, merge with these teams, and so you leave them out there and you leave them in no man's land, then they might go somewhere else. So you're essentially basically bringing them into your conference now, but they're getting their money and you're still getting your money and you're getting a little boost from it.
A couple things. First off, like Pullman and Corvallis are two cities that probably belong in Mountain West. They're on the same, they're Boise, they're Fresno, they're Fort Collins, they're Laramie, so it's probably a better fit if it wasn't historically that they were in the Pac-12. So
that's what's funny is like, I know Washington and Oregon have that into their identity. Eugene's a small fucking town too, though. It's not like that's fucking gigantic.
But it's not far from Portland.
Yes, true. But Eugene, they have passionate fans. Washington has passionate fans. Utah, Colorado, Arizona State, I would say passionate fans. Arizona, maybe a little bit. I don't know. The irony here is you have the two of the bigger fan bases joining the Mountain West. And when I look forward at the future, 10, 20 years down the road, I think this could be a blessing in disguise because their fan bases are all short of UNLV and maybe San Jose State. I think San Diego State is one that they can take over that town. There's no football there. The Sean Lewis hire is so fucking smart because they're going to score a ton of points. I actually think it's the best hire of the entire offseason because even if they lose, he's going to have an exciting product, Eric Coryell style. And I'm telling you, in a city that just doesn't really have sports besides the Padres.
Yeah. An exciting product.
That can sell.
Well, you need something sexy to sell because there's lots of stuff to do in San Diego, like sitting on a beach and, looking at amazing hot chicks rather than going to a football game with an average boring team, so you better have something that can sell.
OSU Beef says Corvallis is actually closer to Portland, NC Nick.
Woo! Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I don't know my Oregon geography that well.
They're both Eastern Oregon, right? Both of those teams. I don't think either. I think Washington's the one that has Eastern, Seattle, obviously out east, and then the hell is Wazoo at? What's the town? Pullman. That's out west. But I think both Oregon schools are on the western side.
Hear me out, because I think long term UNLV, I got no fucking idea, but there's potential there because the city's growing, right?
Sure.
But they play at that stupid roller rink that should never fucking happen. No one goes to their fucking games. If they went back to Sam Boyd, it would make a lot of sense. But UNLV and San Jose State are the one true, The rest of the fan bases, I think, are like, okay, New Mexico hasn't shown up recently, but they've been so bad. I think Bronco Mendenhall can ignite that. You saw it with New Mexico State last year after what Jerry Kill did down there in Las Cruces. The fans got all around them. I think that can come to fruition. You see it in basketball. If it can happen in basketball, it can happen.
Obviously, this is a blessing in disguise, if you want to call it that, for the Mountain West. But is it a blessing in disguise? How? I guess you're probably getting to that point. But how is it a blessing in disguise for Wazoo and Oregon State?
Well, I think long term, you wonder, a lot of the population has gone inward. You know what I mean? Like Idaho, Montana's, Colorado, Utah are the fastest growing states. Arizona's in there. And I wonder long term the ramifications for that. Are you going to get better talent in 20 years? I know we look at Idaho and say that's not really a relevant football state. Well, it might be in 20 fucking years if you keep bringing in this many human beings. So,
those stats are a little skewed too. I was listening to a economist today saying that, like Idaho has a huge population increase percentage wise, but that's because their population was so low to begin with.
But dude, I wasn't
so Utah, like the population
like number one in the nation, right?
I know
Utah,
Texas
Arizona
is a lot.
All up there.
It's still, people are leaving California, yes, but it's still the most of the population growth is on the coast. It's not in the middle of the country.
I still think Colorado,
especially in the Southeast. The Southeast.
I think if you look at the top 10, though, like Colorado, Utah, and Arizona are all in there.
Texas is in there, and then I know the Carolinas and Florida and Georgia and the Southeast is in there too, big time.
I think by percentage, this is something that's been, I guess, thrown around online as a kind of funny thing, but per capita, that's the white statistic there. Per capita, obviously, percentage-based increases are probably, I don't know if you could say that's a more important, we're just kind of making shit up right now. Let me say this.
Anyway,
I want to say this. I think the true benefit to Wazoo and Oregon State, maybe, in an expanded playoff, they are the cream of the crop in those conferences. Now, do I think that they are on par?
They're not technically in the conference right now. That's a problem.
Yeah,
so we're talking about in 20 years, not right now.
Okay.
3 years when they are in the conference. And all of a sudden, they're competing for a bid every year instead of, whoever it is in any particular year, whether it's USC, Oregon, Utah, Washington, being the team in the Pac-12 that, is having their good year, that's keeping them out. The likes of TCU, didn't do as great, prior to, I guess when you're stuck in a conference with a bunch of big boys, it's hard to rise to the top and make that playoff run. But if you are in a league with a bunch of similar teams and you're competitive, then you can rise. And TCU and a bunch of other teams have really risen because of that, to the point where they became part of Power 5 conferences.
True, and TCU did that in the Big 12 with Texas and Oklahoma. They went to the national championship.
That's true. Well, so that's almost like.
Yeah. Let me circle this back though to this year and the schedule. I think in the short term it might be a bad thing for Mountain West schools, because I see very hard schedules now. Adding, and right now only one G5 goes to the playoffs. And looking at these schedules, it might not come from the Mountain West. So maybe this was not the right year to load up and play Wazoo and Oregon State, especially some of these teams have them on the road. Long term, it's probably a good partnership, but this year I think it might affect him negatively.
These are all ball buster schedules.
Yeah, and on the other hand, I mean, Oregon State and Wazoo, their schedules lighten up big time.
Yeah, let's jump into it. The first team up, youtube.com/the college experience. You better know I've been working on graphics for the past 5 hours, like Matt Foley and Saturday Night Live, drinking coffee in his basement. All right. Let's get over to the Air Force Falcons here. Their schedule, I actually had this as the second easiest in the Mountain West. Non-con is Merrimack at Baylor, at Wyoming, which I forgot to color in. You see it there. At New Mexico. I'm sorry. Non-con is home to Merrimack, at Baylor, home to Navy, at Army. Fucking Air Force does this to me every year, where it's like scattered through the schedule. They also get Oregon State in Colorado Springs week 12. That's their fifth game there. They all play 5 non-con games, with the exception of Nevada. Nevada plays 13 games because they're at Hawaii. Shout out to that. I thought this was a very easy non-con. The whole schedule reads like this. Week 1, home to Merrimack. Week 2, home to San Jose State, which is when you want to catch them. Kenny and Matalolo is the new head coach there, and that's week 2. Week 3 at Baylor. Remember, they beat Baylor in a bowl game 2 years ago. Then they get a bye week. Then they're at Wyoming. Then they're home to Navy. Then at New Mexico. Then home to Colorado State. Then they get a bye week. Then they're at Army. Then they are home to Fresno State, home to Oregon State. And then week 13, they're at Nevada. And week 14 at San Diego State. I got to be honest. I think they can make the Mountain West Championship, because this schedule breaks incredibly nice for them.
Very much so.
I would say week 5 at Wyoming is a gigantic fucking game for Air Force. Even if they, I don't know if they'll beat Baylor or not. I think it's kind of like I would slightly favor Baylor, but I think Air Force and Troy Calhoun have proven enough over time that they'll be in that game. I expect them to be 2-1 or so, but that Wyoming game, because to me, you look at the other road spots. They catch Bronco Mendenhall in year 1. Nice. Army, that game's irrelevant. Army and Navy games are relevant for them making the Mountain West Championship. And they get Fresno and Oregon State in Colorado Springs. They're at Nevada now. The at San Diego State game is the one tricky spot, but that's week 14. I love this schedule. They don't play Boise State. And to me, like if you get Fresno and Oregon State, you want to get them at home. So they don't really play. I mean, I know UNLV was fire last year, but I think that was kind of bullshit personally. So, but still, you don't really go to what's your toughest environment there? It's Wyoming. It's Laramie. If you get by Laramie,
would you call Baylor a tough environment?
Yeah, but that I'm saying for the Mountain West Championship, that game's irrelevant.
Oh yeah, that game.
You know what I mean? Like, so NC Nick, your thoughts on Air Force's schedule? I'd love to know where you had this one ranked.
I had it exactly at 11th, also second easiest. So I ranked the top 12 as far as Mountain West. I didn't include Oregon State and Wazoo in that ranking. Is that how you did it also?
Yeah, I have the Oregon State and Washington State I've ranked in the Pac-2. So we'll go through 1 and 2 of those. Yeah. So
I mean, first off, you only have two of your 5 out of conference games. Only 2 are major conference opponents, which I'm considering Oregon State and Wazoo still major conference opponents. At least for this year. We'll see what happens in future years. But then you dodge Boise, and you could also argue that they play the 3 easiest teams. At least according to last year's standings, getting New Mexico, Nevada, and San Diego State. So
getting San Jose State week 2.
Yeah, with the new coach for sure.
I would even say getting Mendenhall week 7.
Yep.
What's the deal with Larrier? Is he's like a 5th year? Is he done?
No, he's back, right?
He's back.
Yeah.
He played as early as 2019 in one game. Which I guess
honestly, with the service academies, does it matter?
Yeah, actually, and with Larry, we don't know for sure because they don't release their depth charts. It's not like a normal university, so there's a chance.
Yeah. Sure, it'd be nice to have him back.
I've heard rumblings that he'd be back, but I mean, I guess that's who the fuck.
It made a huge difference when he wasn't there. I mean, they started 9-0, then they lost 3.
Still, they were better with Zeke Daniels the year before. I think that's the next point. Yeah.
Okay, so maybe the next guy up's just as good.
Whether it's Air Force, Army, or Navy, I never really care who's leaving.
Yeah.
Well, unless it's Bo Morgan or Blaine Morgan. Those guys were fucking fire.
They were ballers.
Who was the
very nice schedule.
Navy quarterback a few years ago?
Keenan Reynolds was a stud.
That was a tough loss.
I think Nick's a hater. Sometimes there are ones that are just way better than
all these nameless, faceless.
He didn't say that. He didn't say that when they went from from Tommy Frazier to Scott Frost. He said, no, there's a big gap there. See,
hold on.
It happens in the mid-major ranks.
In between those guys was Brooks. What was his name? Brooks.
Well, he was on the Tommy Frazier team. Tommy Frazier had blood clots. He never actually got to start.
What the blood clot?
I thought after Frazier graduated, what was his name? Berlinger?
Yeah, Brooks Berlinger.
I thought he had a year where he was starting. No,
I don't think so.
A few games.
Go back and check that.
Yeah.
He started a few games because Frazier had blood clots. He had blood clots. Yeah.
Either way, very nice schedule for Air Force. One of the easiest in the conference, and given their recent track record, they have to be one of the favorites to get to the championship game. Sure thing.
That's still a ball buster schedule, man. I mean, who are the gimmies?
Nevada.
Well, but
Merrimack.
We can talk two different things though. Like, the one thing is to make the Mountain West Championship game, and then don't even look at the out of conference. Overall, it's still a pretty tough schedule, but it's compared to the others, it's not that bad.
Yeah. If you think this is tough, Patty C, wait till you see the next ones, because I think it's one of the easier ones.
Well, sure. In the non-conference, especially.
Let's jump and talk about them Boise State Broncos. They bring in Malachi Nelson after Taylor Green leaves. You could argue that the offense, and they got Dirk Cutter coming in as OC. You could argue the offense could be better as far as passing with Malachi Nelson, the top recruit in the nation the year before. They're non-con at Georgia Southern and at Oregon the first 2 weeks of the season. Week 4, they're home to Portland State. Love that game on the schedule. Then they're home to Washington State. Love that game on the schedule too. And then the 5th non-con game is the Beavs going to the Smurf Turf. So they get Wazoo and Oregon State coming to the Smurf Turf.
That's fun. These are fun games.
Yeah. And then obviously at Oregon, I mean, they have a knack for playing Oregon really tough over the years. And then at Georgia Southern is like old school.
Got Oregon.
Yeah,
I think so. I think it's been a while, but even still, yeah.
I think it's been a while since Oregon scheduled them.
That's true.
Well, wasn't that the famous LeGarrette Blunt punch?
Yeah. When
that might have been the last time they played.
It's true.
Boise won that game.
Say they played.
Oregon didn't want that smoke anymore.
Let's take a look at this. The last time they played, they could have played in a bowl game too, for all I know. I think they did play in a bowl game. And I think Boise beat the piss out of them with Mario Cristobal. It's loading right now, so it's going to take 20 minutes.
That's
let me
more
tell you
recent than I
that
thought.
Boise defensive end, he did not want that smoke anymore from LeGarrette Blunt after getting knocked out.
Classic lesson of
talking
watch what
shit.
you say.
Ryan,
Exactly. Go ahead and celebrate, but don't jump in the opponent's face after a win, or you might just get knocked out.
So Oregon is actually 0-3 against Boise State since 2008.
Wow. I think they win this year.
and those games, by the way, they lost by 10 in 2017. They lost by 11 in 2009, and they lost by 5 in 2008. And one was in Eugene, one was in Boise, and one was in Vegas.
Wow.
Dan Lanning seems to have a much more intense, approach to football. So I don't know that they're going to get, A, either out coached or B, out intensitied.
Well,
I think
hopefully
Oregon.
they did it. I mean, hopefully they did it home and home, but Oregon would never do that. Hopefully they did it 2-for-1, because I do think they could clip them in Boise.
Sure.
Yeah. But this year I expect Oregon to be really good, and Boise's going to be, a lot of new faces and everything. So week 2 going to Alton, I got the Ducks here.
Jay says, I see Wyoming as the last game of the year. No Oregon State. No, that is not correct. Wyoming's final game is against Washington State. So I don't know what you're looking at.
I show Boise playing at Wyoming on the 23rd of November and then finishing it at
Jay, you're wrong, because there's been an ongoing joke that Washington State still plays UW on Thanksgiving weekend. It's just the Wyoming, not Washington.
Anyway, Colby, I guess you haven't gone through the whole thing yet.
Yeah. So here we go. Week 1 at Georgia Southern. Week 2 at Oregon. Then a bye week. Then you're home to Portland State. Week 5. Then you are home to Washington State. Then home to Utah State. Then you hit the road to go to the island. It's a hard ticket to go to take on Timmy Chang and the Rainbow Warriors. Then you get a bye week after that long travel. And then you head to Vegas to take on UNLV, who you beat the piss out of in the Mountain West Championship in that exact stadium a year ago. Then you're home to San Diego State. Gotta like how you're getting the Aztecs in Boise in week 10. Then you're home to Nevada. Then at San Jose State. And then at Wyoming week 13. And then week 14, home to the Oregon State Beavers. Nick, what's your thoughts on this overall schedule? I can tell you this. You don't get Fresno. You don't get Air Force. Air Force, I feel like historically has given them fits.
Yeah.
And then you don't get Fresno, Fresno's like, I think, one of the only teams that has actually won twice in Boise over the past few years.
I had this one. I had it in ours. I had it second, actually. I see you had it third. The only good thing about the schedule is that a lot of the tough games are at home, but just right off the bat, having at Oregon, and then you got Wazoo and Oregon State, and then throw in another road trip across the country at Georgia Southern, which is not
and
easy.
Laramie. I know
then, in conference, look at some of the best teams in conference last year. Some of those best teams were UNLV, San Jose State, and Wyoming. And you're on the road now. Can some of those teams do the same thing this year? That remains to be seen, especially with San Jose State with the new coach. We'll see if UNLV can sustain that success. But on the surface, I'd say this is a pretty hard schedule, especially given the out-of-conference slate.
Yeah, Pat, do you see your thoughts on Boise's schedule?
Inclined to agree with you real quick, just to review the Mountain West. The teams that had a winning record within the conference last year: Boise 6-2, San Jose State 6-2, UNLV 6-2, Air Force 5-3, and Wyoming 5-3. So,
and let me add into that on that the championship game should have been San Jose State, Boise State. We all know UNLV was counterfeit.
Yeah.
Then, but also the coaching changes. Danny Gonzalez leaves He gets fired from New Mexico. He's now on the defensive staff at Arizona. Bronco Mendenhall comes in. Brent Brennan leaves San Jose State for Arizona after Jed Fish leaves for Washington. So Ken Niumatalolo comes into San Jose State. And then Jeff Choate comes in, the former Montana State head coach who kind of brought Montana State's program up, who had recently gone to be the defensive coordinator of Texas, took the Nevada job. Those, I think, are all three of the coaching changes, and I think they're all three pretty damn good hires to make this conference. Oh, no, Sean Lewis to San Diego State, the one that I think is the biggest. When you add those hires, that's another thing. Someone was asking me why the Mountain West. I was doing some radio. Why has the Mountain West become so good in basketball? And I said, I don't know, besides like the coaching hires. They've been very smart with their coaching hires. And
that's 80% of it.
And when I look at football, when you look at this conference now with Barry Odom's first year in UNLV, if he could sustain that, which I'm a skeptic, but I still think clearly it's been an upgrade as a hire. And then you look at Jeff Tedford and Troy Calhoun that have just killed it. And then Boise retaining, their defensive coordinator that did very well as an interim last year.
Yeah.
I'm drawing a blank on his name right now, but and I'm sorry, geez, Craig Bull retired too, but they're leaving
That's
it
right.
to the defense coordinator there that I'm drawing a blank on. What the fuck is his name right now?
They're a disciplined conference. They are, not jumping to get non-regional teams like every other conference is right now. It's biblically speaking,
they're established, they're consistent.
That's right.
And if
you
they
build
do
your
bring
house
in-
on the sand, it'll wash away. You build your house on the rock, it'll stand. Right, and that's what they're doing.
Is that
They're
like Three Little Pigs or something?
something like that. So it's a similar credibility. Mountain West. Let me ask you this. I guess I don't want to have too big of a segue here, but what are the best teams? If we're trying to analyze the schedule for next year, obviously there was a pecking order last year, but I don't think there's necessarily a huge difference in like San Diego State is the basement of this conference at 2-6 last year, and Boise State 6-2. A couple years ago, they were playing each other in the conference championship. So, I guess
I
trying
did
to
this
figure out who's
exercise,
the best right
and
now.
I came with the top three. I wonder if you guys agree, but my top three teams is Boise, Air Force, and Fresno.
I think San Diego State's going to be really fucking good,
but it might take year number two.
I think.
You think year number one they're going to be able to jump up to the top three of the conference, go from worst to almost first?
I think that higher. I mean, he did it at Kent State. He's part of Syracuse's 11-win season. I think he's going to light the fucking ground running there at San Diego State.
Yeah,
the defense has been good. The special teams has been good. All they needed was a little bit of offensive movement.
True.
And to me, I'm like, that was such a home run to me that I would put that in the mix for that this year.
I think there is a little bit of a hierarchy. I'm curious whether you're right about San Diego State. I agree with Nick, although I'm a little less bullish on Boise than I think you guys are, but Air Force is solid. Fresno is solid with Tedford. And then,
Boise's not going anywhere.
Yeah, Boise still won the
probably
Mountain West
not
last year.
Yeah. Wait, what happened coaching wise?
Avalos, they canned Avalos a couple weeks left in the season, and they went with their defensive coordinator, who I'm drawing a blank on his name right now. It is Danielson, I think. Danielson, right?
So we're still pretty confident. Who fires their coach the year they win the conference championship?
Well, it was Danielson that won it. Danielson that won it the final games on the stretch.
True. Either way, I mean, Nevada, New Mexico, I'm guessing Nevada, they could bounce back. They weren't that bad that long ago.
Oh, I think the Jeff Choate hire is fucking great. He's the one that brought Montana State. Montana State's program was suffering. Everyone was talking Grizzlies. He comes in, did a good job with Montana State, and then he jumped down to Texas. And obviously Texas made he was their defense coordinator at Texas, so they made the playoffs last year.
I wonder if your buddy Chris Alt had anything to do with that hire, because as soon as they hired Ken Wilson, I was like, that's an awful hire.
Yeah, Chris Alt, the inventor of the pistol offense there.
Yeah, that was a desperate hire. So basically what we're saying is New Mexico is the only shit team here. There's a little bit of difference between
they brought in Bronco Mendenhall. How long
true.
before he gets it going? I'm telling you, he's going to get it going. Might take 2 years.
No, he will. You're right.
Yeah.
That's just a great coach in terms of, and what he did at Virginia, it was his mantra was, don't give up a blade of grass, and
That's what
taking the players' numbers and decals away until they earn it. It's old school ass. What my brother thinks is cheesy shit, but guess what? It fucking worked. It reinstilled toughness in the UVA, and they became a consistent winner.
I really think that the Mountain West did a great job in the offseason as far as hires the past 2 years, really. Like I said, Odom clearly proved to me, and I was a skeptic of the hire at UNLV, and it worked out. But I think Ken Niumatalolo is a proven winner. I think Bronco Mendenhall is a proven winner. Danielson, in the short sample size we've seen at Boise State, has looked all right. And then you go out and you bring in, Jay Sauvel is from Wyoming, but he was part of that staff for so long. I don't think that will really take a hit. And then Sean Lewis, to me, is knocking it out the fucking park for
the one thing I question is San Jose State's hire with Nia Matalolo or whatever his name is. That is the huge gamble, I think, because they're not running the triple option. You could argue at Navy. And if he isn't running,
they're not running the triple option like Army wasn't running the triple option last year. That's my opinion of that.
I don't know.
I could be
wrong.
He
brought in an air raid OC. So,
that's opposite of the.
Yeah,
well, I know, like true. Mike Leach will tell you that they share a lot of similarities, but it's also completely different. So I'm fascinated to see how he's going to do at San Jose State.
But he's a good coach. He was with Chip Kelly the past couple years at UCLA.
I wouldn't chalk that up as a slam dunk hire. I think that's very interesting, and
I thought it was better than some of the names they were going to bring in. Now I thought he would bring in the option. Yeah, I think he's. Dude, he had Navy top 20 in the nation a couple years.
It has a chance to fail miserably, is all I'm going to say. Maybe it works out. It's like high variance.
I agree with that.
Right. Let's jump on over and talk about the next team is the Colorado State Rams. Jay Norvell. We're not even talking Jay Norvell. It's a big year for him, getting his quarterback back, and obviously having Hal Mummy's son, Matt Mummy, run the offense there with him. Air raid certified. That's what they are. Colorado State, the non-con. It's fun. At Texas to open the season, then home to Northern Colorado. Me and NC Nick have checked out the old field there at Greeley, Colorado, but this is in Fort Collins. Then they're home, Rocky Mountain Showdown on campus in Fort Collins. Hey, Colorado, you deserve the Buffs deserve a fucking medal for agreeing to do this, because I feel like a lot of teams wouldn't play at the Group of Five.
Don't
fluff
your team that hard.
Fuck you, buddy. Virginia Tech's not playing at JMU, are they?
No, you're right. That's true. But Colorado State have been rivals for like 50 years.
I know, but
probably longer.
The fact that they're going for a while, they met in Denver for like a decade.
That's true.
Yeah, so it's like I like this. Go to Fort Collins. I like this angle. This place is going to burn down. The other non-con game, home to UTEP, and then at Oregon State week 6. So, to me, getting at Texas, home to Colorado, and at Oregon State, it presents some challenges.
That's fucking brutal. I'm shocked. I'm shocked you have it at 6. This is my hardest in the conference.
Really?
I'll make my point. Especially once you talk about some of the in-conference road trips.
Well, I'll make my point here in a second here, but obviously, yeah, Texas made the playoffs. Arch Manning's not being a part of video games, and that's a tough spot to open the season. But Northern Colorado, that should be an easy win. Getting Colorado in Fort Collins is nice. UTEP, I would say they caught a little break because UTEP's brought in their brand new head coach from Austin Peay. So you're catching them early, which is nice. Then, at Oregon State, I would rather play Oregon State in the first half of the schedule than the second half because they're breaking in a brand new head coach. Same with San Jose State. That was my logic. Then at Air Force, obviously tough. Home to New Mexico, though, Nick. They get New Mexico and Nevada, which you just said, 2 of the 3 worst teams.
True.
And then they get a bye week, and then they're home to Wyoming, and then at Fresno, and then home to Utah State. And by the way, they really fucked up rivalry week here. They should end with Wyoming. They did it right for like 1 or 2 schools, but they fucked it up for a lot of the other ones. They should be ending the season with Wyoming. They're 45 miles apart.
Yeah, they should be.
Yeah. And anyway,
I'm going to disagree with you guys. I think this schedule is a little easier than you guys are, talking it up to be.
Really? I mean, just like compared to
sixth.
Boise up the bat.
I had a 6th.
Compared to Boise, I have the
Colorado sucked last year. What did they do? They should have lost to Colorado State. In fact, I bet Jay Norvell is circling that on his calendar as a revenge game. Colorado escaped them. Now we're in Fort Collins. College game day was there. All that hype. Colorado State's,
but Colorado's going to be so much better this year.
They should be better. Yes, but
they were
worse.
At left tackle last year.
That's true. But it's okay. Texas is super hard. Road trip to Oregon State pretty hard. Road trip to Air Force pretty hard. Road trip to Fresno pretty hard. Other than that,
let's compare it to Boise real quick. Because Colby, you had Boise at what, 2 or 3?
Yeah, my thing was Boise. Boise's they start off with back-to-back away. That to me means something.
I mean, at Oregon and at Texas is a wash. Then Boise has Wazoo and Oregon State, but they're both at home. And Colorado has to go at Oregon State, and they have Colorado at home. Colorado and Wazoo.
Boise has 2 sets of back-to-back away games, though.
Opponent-wise,
at Georgia Southern, at Oregon, at San Jose State, at Wyoming.
But then, then in conference, both teams don't play Boise, especially because Boise can't. But Colorado State has to play at Fresno and at Air Force. I mean, those are 2 teams at the very top of the conference. So I don't see how you can tell me that Boise's schedule is harder than Colorado State's.
Well, the non-con, I think,
it just did.
How is it not? How is the non-con harder?
What do you mean?
Okay.
Boise State gets Oregon
let's
State
go,
and
let's
Washington
go
State.
easiest teams.
Yes, but they're both at home, which is a huge difference because Wazoo and Oregon State very good at home, not decent on the road.
They also avoid San Diego State, who I have on that top tier.
Well, that's
I'm with
a
you, Colby.
huge thing. I mean, I'm not going to put San Diego State on the top tier just yet with a very unproven head coach year 1.
I'm just saying, dude, it wasn't that far removed that they were on the top tier. What are we, 1 year away from them being on the top tier?
I feel more comfortable putting Air Force in Fresno, which Colorado State plays both on the road, having them top tier.
Either way, this is another conference where we're talking about the top and the bottom not being that far removed from each other. So
Good
little
point.
bit of splitting hairs.
It's hard to grade. It's hard to grade.
Jay says, what do you have CSU's record before the first bye week?
Before the first bye week.
2-2. 2-2. Yeah, there's
Let's
2
get to the real question. Who's going to win week 3 against Colorado?
The Buffs all day.
Yeah,
I'm going to say 3-1. 3-1.
Well, there you go. They're not beating Texas. They're beating Northern Colorado in UTEP. So the real question is who wins the Colorado game?
Well, Wyoming almost won at Texas last year. It was tied in the 4th quarter. So maybe Colorado State's that team this year. But probably not.
Fair.
It's probably 2-2. Probably 2-2. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, Nick, to your credit, though, I mean, no, to your point earlier, they get New Mexico and Nevada, and if San Jose State doesn't work out, like you just said, this could fail, then you're getting 3 of the bottom of the floor right there.
That is a good counterpoint. To Patty's point, it was very hard to judge all these teams and put them like one above the other. But I just don't see how looking at these the last 2 schools we did, I think Colorado State's harder than Boise.
No back-to-back away games. That matters to me. You got to factor that in, man. Boise has 2 sets of back-to-back away games.
Splitting hairs.
Yeah.
No, that matters when you're that away from home. That matters, man. In college athletics, that fucking matters. You see,
it does matter, but in week 1 and week 2, not as much because you haven't gone through the grind of the season just yet. So in week 1 and week 2, I mean, if you're going to have a back-to-back, have it then.
Well, Boise also week 12 and 13 are back-to-back away.
I don't know. A cross-country road trip to open the season, I feel like rarely favors the road team.
But Boise's done that. Just like they went into Tallahassee and beat Florida State. They went
true.
into Atlanta.
If there's
Maryland
any team that can do it.
Tech.
Yeah. They went into Atlanta and beat Georgia.
There you go.
All right, folks. I'm going to tell you that the college football experience is brought to you by Manscaped. We top of the morning to you. This episode is brought to you by St. Patrick's Day Shamrock Shavers Manscaped. This year, don't just chase rainbows. Make your own pot of gold and groom your little leprechaun with the leaders in below the kilt care. Say goodbye to your clover forest, Patty C, with Manscaped's Lawnmower 5.0 and let your confidence shine bright. Embrace the luck of the Irish and join the 10 million worldwide who trust Manscaped. Head over to manscaped.com. Use that promo code SGPN for 20% off plus free shipping. How did I do with my Manscaped? It's somewhere around here. Ever since I started using Manscaped, I can proudly say that I've found my pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. All right. And, just meet your new lucky charm for St. Patrick's Day. The Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra. This trimmer comes with 2 interchangeable next-gen skin-safe blade heads, one for a classic trim, and a new foil blade to go smooth really wherever your heart desires. So get on over there. It's equipped with dual LED spotlights, just in case your big-ass shaft is in the way, all right? Navigate your shamrock patch in peace.
I have that problem.
Worried you'll make a mess? No. Fear not. This wonder is waterproof, all right? Shaved by the misty moors. You can do it under a waterfall like an Irish Spring commercial or even during a fucking rain dance, all right? What are you doing, folks? Get on over there. Get 20% off plus free shipping at SGPN. With the promo code SGPN at manscaped.com. That, once again, 20% off plus free shipping with the promo code SGPN at manscaped.com. This St. Patrick's Day, make sure your little hairy leprechaun is luckier than ever with Manscaped. We're also brought to you by Champs. Champs is hosting a free March Madness bracket for a chance to win $1,000. Plus, if you host your own March Madness pool on Champs, you will get an extra free entry into the bracket contest. Tiebreakers are determined by who enters first, so make sure you're registered now so you don't miss out. Head over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/champs. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/champs. We're also brought to you by Hall of Fame Bets. Win bigger by betting smarter this NBA season with Hall of Fame Bets, the sports betting analytics platform for player props, parlays, and game lines. Research every NBA and soccer bet with historical stats and data. Stop betting in the dark and join over 30,000 users researching with Hall of Fame Bets to craft more intelligent, data-driven parlays. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit HOFBets.com. Use that promo code SGPN to get 50% off your first month today. Start researching. Start winning with Hall of Fame Bets. All right, we are back on the college football experience. Big 12. I'm sorry, not Big 12. It's the Mountain West season preview. Mountain West
interchangeable.
Pac-2. Let's jump on over to the Fresno State Bulldogs and Jeff Tedford. Mikey Keene is back, and damn, I love Fresno football. That's one of the things my whole life I think I've liked Fresno State. I mean, I like Colorado State. I like Air Force. Fresno State. How many great fucking schools have they beat? I feel like every P5 they've either won or struck a lot of fear in them. That Reggie Bush game. I know Reggie Bush and Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll still wakes up in the middle of the night saying, God damn, Pat Hill and Fresno State. They almost knocked us off.
I love those Pat Hill teams were awesome.
Oh, they were a bundle of fun.
It only makes sense because there are 4 Power 5 teams, or I guess 8 on the entire West Coast. There are a lot of people on the West Coast, you know. If you only have 8, how many Power 5 teams do you think there are on the East Coast? 3 in Florida, 2 in Georgia, 2 in Carolina, 4 in North Carolina, 2 in Virginia, Maryland, Jersey, New York's got 1. It's like 15, right? And
but to Fresno's credit, they were doing it in the 70s and 80s when Long Beach State, Cal State, Fullerton, Cal State, Northridge, all those other fucking teams up there, Santa Barbara, all those teams that quit their programs. They were still doing it then with Henry Ellard and Stephon Page and all those guys. Yeah, they've been rocking for a long time.
Fringe Power 5, but basically a Power 5 level.
They've produced a lot of pros. They really
have. If you put Fresno in the Big 12, it's not crazy to think they could make like the new Big 12. It's not crazy to think that they could end up in the championship game.
Not at all.
What is the difference between, honestly, what is really the difference between Fresno and Baylor? I don't think there's a difference.
Fresno's been better for longer. That's
the
difference.
Yeah. So Fresno's non-con at Michigan. Wouldn't this be great?
Right off the bat? Go into the big house. Get the W.
Please, gods, college football gods. Please make this happen. Week 2, and I love that. This is dangerous. Even if they play Michigan close, this is a dangerous week 2 matchup. You saw Sac State put it on Stanford last year. Sac State, love the regionality here. Love that as a non-con game. Then week 3, they take on New Mexico State. Then the other non-con game is, there's 2. Home to Washington State week 7, and then at UCLA week 14. Deshaun Foster, buckle up, because I want to say Fresno State's 3-1 in their last 4 against UCLA. Who should get the invite to the Big Ten? May I ask you?
Right.
Dude, this is going to be a fun team. Mikey Keene's year 2 in Tedford's offense. I know Tedford missed the bowl game with health issues. That's the only thing that could fuck this up. Come on, Jeff Tedford. Good friend of Mike Leach. This is it. We need good health this year. Good health. Let's put it out in the universe.
All right, let's not forget, this team started off 5-0, beating a Big Ten school and a Pac-12 school last year on the road, both of them, when they beat Purdue and Arizona State.
That's been Fresno's motto forever, man. That's what I'm saying.
They were also 8-1 before Keene got hurt, and they lost the last 3 games of the regular season.
Yeah, Keene got hurt. Tedford had health problems. Not what you want to see, but man, you look at the schedule. So going week by week, at Michigan week 1, week 2, home to Sac State, week 3, home to New Mexico State. No more Jerry Kill with the Aggies there. Week 4, glad they get Bronco Mendenhall early at week 4. Then week 5 at UNLV. I bet you they beat the piss out of UNLV at that shit stadium there in Vegas. Week 6 bye week 7 home to Wazoo. That's tricky. Week 8 at Nevada. Week 9 home to San Jose State. Week 10 home to Hawaii. Week 11 at Air Force. That game scares me. As someone that's thinking about taking a Fresno future, that's a scary game. Week 11. Week 12 bye. Week 13 they're home to Colorado State. Week 14 they're at UCLA. I'm just going to go ahead and say this. This team is playing in the Mountain West Championship game.
Oh boy.
I think Tedford's health is the main concern. Other than that, I mean, they played in it 2 years ago in his first year, right? They won it.
But dude, other than at Air Force, they're gonna beat every other school.
They dodge Boise.
They dodge San Diego State, which is a rival. They dodge Boise. They dodge San Diego State. They get UNLV at the. If anything, like a game. I actually think UNLV has a better chance of beating Fresno at Fresno than Fresno does at UNLV. You put that thing in a dome where Tedford could throw the ball all over the fucking place. It ain't going to happen.
And I mean, at a conference, you have 2 tough road games against Power 5 opponents, but at UCLA,
they're beating
that's
UCLA.
Not that tough.
They are going to beat UCLA.
Right. And the other game should be wins. I mean, Sac State and New Mexico State should be wins.
Wazoo could get them week 7.
Of course.
Wazoo could get them week 7. That's the one.
Yeah, that's the one I forgot about. But still, that one's at home. That's a lot more winnable at home than it is in Pullman.
I think the main thing when you look at the Mountain West road schedule, specifically Mountain West, they get at New Mexico week 4. Mendenhall is brand new with his team. Week 5 at UNLV.
Let me ask you this: you guys are just sleeping on Barry Odom. He performed better than expected.
They were
last year.
Like San Jose State,
counterfeit. They're pretty good.
They played nobody, Pat. They played nobody, and they lost their starting quarterback to USC.
Okay, that hurts. But what I'm saying is Barry Odom did a good job at Missouri, right? Underrated, got fired probably unfairly, and regardless of what you want to say, they vastly overperformed against expectations last year. But
they still lost to Fresno last year.
Yeah, by 7. What?
That was a 21-point game.
They Fresno's homecoming.
Go dig into that box score. Fresno was up 35-7. They came back. They made it a respectable game to their credit.
At the second end of a back-to-back, I'm just saying maybe it's not such a gimme.
It's a fair point. I mean, they had a great season last year, but at the same time, I wouldn't trust them to do it again. This year is going to be big.
Like it or not, they were in the Mountain West Championship game last year.
Fair or not, they were in it.
And I mean, look, I'll tell you right now, we're going to get to it, but that's a lock on the under. I just think back to my original point I was trying to make. The road schedule in conference at New Mexico, you're catching Mendenhall early. At UNLV, Patty C, to Barry Odom's credit, he's done a great job. Can't shit on that, but that stadium is still no one shows up. So you got to like that. Then At Nevada week 8. Nevada's breaking in a brand new head coach, right? At Air Force. So Air Force is the only tricky one. The other 3
True.
road spots, you
Those are
don't go to
cakewalks.
Laramie. You don't go to Boise. You don't play San Diego State. I think it's a great fucking – you don't even go to Logan. They've had struggles in Logan. It's just a nice schedule for them. I'm loading up. I'm getting
and Mikey Keene coming back. Yeah, I think I agree with you.
And we had this kind of ranked the same. Couple. You had it at 5th hardest. I had it at 6th hardest. But the way you're talking, it sounds like you think the schedule is pretty easy. I mean, in conference, I agree.
The difference is Michigan, UCLA, and Washington State.
Yeah.
You know, and we think New Mexico State's going to drop off, but they still won like 10 games. And we think UNLV is going to drop off. They still won 9 games or something.
Yeah.
You have to reward that for not knowing, you know. But yeah, I'm all over them. I think they're going to play, providing Jeff Tedford can stay healthy. I think they're going to be in the Mountain West Championship game.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's them and Boise again.
Yeah, let's get to the next team up. It is the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors. I had this as the easiest schedule in the Mountain West. Nick, did you?
Yes, I did. So
so
the one thing we agreed on was our 2 easiest teams, Air Force and Hawaii.
Well, part of it, and I can't blame the Rainbow Warriors here. Part of it was Oregon canceled their game. When Oregon joined the Big Ten, they canceled. Oregon was supposed to play at Hawaii week 0. But they thought it was too much travel since they joined the Big Ten. So they canceled late, man. They canceled this in like January, right? So Hawaii had to scramble, and they end up with 2 FCSs because no one else's schedules were open. So they ended up filling it with Delaware State week 0. So they get Delaware State in the non-con. Home to UCLA, which is tricky now because Chip Kelly, Deshaun Foster in that'll be week 1 for UCLA. Deshaun Foster breaking in his tenure on the island. And then
you said Shager's coming back?
Yeah, he's coming back. Week 3 at Sam Houston State. Week 4, home to Northern Iowa. And then they go to Wazoo week 8. And that's the non-con. Nick, your thoughts on the Rainbow Warriors schedule?
Yeah, so it's similar to App State's schedule 2 years ago because they had, if I'm not mistaken, they had Marshall as a non-conference game, but that switched to a conference game when Marshall joined the Sun Belt. So then they had to scramble and pick up a second FCS. So right off the bat, 2 FCS opponents at home. One of them is pretty good, Northern Iowa. They've fallen off a little bit the last couple of years, but you have to love the fact that you have 2 very winnable games at home in the non-con. And then the other ones, I mean, yeah, at Wazoo is probably the only for sure loss in the non-con.
I think Timmy Chang has done a great job making the team look better. The eye test, they look better. When I watched them,
because we were questionable about that hire too, and he's been making us eat some crow so far.
So, I mean, this is I know they're gonna have to get to 7 wins to make a bowl, but I could see Delaware State, Sam Houston State, Northern Iowa. So hold on, let me read it off, I guess, for everyone. Week 0, Delaware State. Week 1, home to UCLA. Week 2, at Sam Houston State. Or actually, I think that's week 3 because they have a bye. Week 4, home to Northern Iowa. Week 5, another bye. Week 6, at San Diego State. Week 7, home to Boise. Week 8, they're at Wazoo. Week 9, home to the Wolfpack. Week 10, at Fresno State. Week 11, home on the island to UNLV. Week 12, they go to Logan. Then another bye week before they host the Lobos of New Mexico. That's one of the only downsides is I think Bronco Mendenhall will probably have New Mexico going by week 14. You'd rather play Mendenhall earlier, but either way, I think this is, you look at Nevada, it's a 50-50 game. New Mexico, 50-50 game. You know, they could make a bowl this year. They could make a bowl. Not going to project it, but they could.
The non-conference, what do you see the record as? You said it was Delaware State, UCLA, both at home, at Sam Houston, and hosting Northern Iowa. And then there was one other at Wazoo.
Yeah, I think probably 3-2, but they could be 4-1. It wouldn't shock me.
I mean, beating UCLA on the second game of the season, that would be a massive win. I think
UCLA's first week, though.
Yeah.
Getting the week 0 game is huge.
It would certainly be an upset. I would think UCLA is going to be favored by like 7 or 10 or so, but
This is a far more talented team.
it's still possible.
It is possible. That would be a hell of a win. Do you think that is the game that could have the biggest impact on their whole season? I mean, you do that, you start out 4-0 and you go in a bye week before going to San Diego State. It could be a nice year. Maybe Timmy Chang takes a step forward this year. Either way, there's too many tough at San Diego State, at Wazoo, at Fresno, at Utah State.
Yeah. Yeah, but we haven't even mentioned Utah State yet, and because they have the potential to bubble up like they did 3 years ago. I think they went to the Mountain West game, but at Logan is always tough,
especially in week 12, going from the island to snow, or just crazy cold.
That's a good point. Yeah.
I love that. I love the fact you got this pass the ball all over the team, all over the field island team going up into the mountains to play this tough run team. It's just such a great contrast of styles in this conference.
Yeah. But all things considered, pretty easy schedule. Colby and I both have it ranked easiest in the Mountain West.
All right,
which for a team of Hawaii's quality may mean bowling. Do you guys at a glance have this team bowling?
See, the thing is they're going to need that waiver for playing 2 FCSs.
Right. So
I don't know that I see 7 and 5. I do see 6 and 6.
They were 5 and 8. They play 13 games, right?
No, they play 12. Nevada plays 13.
Yeah.
Which they have 3 buys because they have the week 1 game. But a couple teams have that, or the week 0 game rather. They should, I feel like, be able to play 13 games, but they don't.
Well, so they played 13 last year. So what's the difference? Why is that changing?
Maybe they couldn't get anyone to come up.
I mean, they had Delaware State very, very late here, like a week ago. I don't know, the Rainbow Warriors. I
think 7's a stretch. I agree.
They're the coolest team in college football. Can we be honest? I think everyone wants Hawaii to be good. I think that's America's favorite team.
Yeah,
I don't think so. I don't think most people care.
No, because they're at midnight. Cool. They have the fucking old rainbow. You know what I mean? Like everything about them is cool. They're on the island. They have to play all these games way over fucking 6-hour flights away.
They may be the most unique team in college football, which makes them cool inherently.
I'll give you that.
Yeah.
All right, let's jump to the Nevada Wolfpack. Jeff Jote, year 1. Man, I had this as the second hardest schedule.
Oh, wow, really?
And I forgot to color in Boise State's away game, but mainly because, Nick, they play 13 games.
That's true, but that gives so how do you rank that though? Like as far as the toughest schedule, because they have an extra opponent, but that's also an extra chance to get another win to get to bowl eligibility.
True, but also look at the opponents here. SMU is a team that won 10 games last year, 11 games, right?
Yeah, but
that's a week 0.
You've been telling me the whole time that SMU is basically like UNLV of the
true, but you know what Nevada's doing? They're breaking in a brand new head coach, and they were ass a year ago. They're not winning that game week 0 to SMU, who's buying every fucking Alabama player. Week 2, they're at Troy. Troy's a fucking legit, very good team. Week 3, Georgia Southern. Georgia Southern goes bowling every fucking year, even though I think what's his name's a joke, right? They still go bowling every year. Week 4, you're rowing the boat against PJ Fleck in Minnesota. Then week 5, you get, which is really week 4, you're getting Eastern Washington, a good FCS. And then you have Oregon State coming in week 7 for your their non-con is fucking insane. Absolutely insane. They're going to be dogs in every fucking game, maybe even the Eastern Washington game.
Originally I was thinking, and shame on me for not realizing SMU is a Power 5 or a Power 4 anymore, but that now that they are. But I was thinking that there's only 2 of them, and it's at Minnesota, who wasn't very good last year, and at least Oregon State's at home. So initially, just looking at the non-con, I was like, that's not too bad. But when I see it, and then you got to consider SMU as a P4. I mean, does it matter? Is SMU this year so much better or worse than last year? Probably not. It's probably just a label, right? A P4 label.
But SMU is better than a lot of people.
They were a high level group of 5 last year.
But and then when you throw in at Troy though, that's tough, man. It is.
Oh, and like Georgia Southern, if you had that as Arkansas State or something, but Georgia Southern, especially Clay Helton's teams fade in the back half of the season. The first half of the season, they're pretty fire. And then Eastern Washington's your FCS. It's like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this though. You hyped up Chote. I guess, but his time at Montana State is probably the basis of that. Obviously, at Texas did pretty well.
Their defense was actually their strong suit.
Super stout. Like 0 yards after contact last year, basically.
Yeah.
Who knows if that's going to translate to Nevada? But which of those games? Say he got that thing run up to his potential by week 0 or by week 1 of this year. Are any of those games unwinnable on the non-conference?
I think the only one they can win is Georgia Southern and Eastern Washington. The other programs,
Minnesota sucked last year.
But given Nevada though, I mean Nevada's
team was horrible last year.
If this was like, say this was like Utah State or something, I'd be like, all right, maybe you could talk me into hanging around, maybe knocking off some of these teams, but Nevada no.
Yeah, I mean, what was it? Not only I don't know what Chote is planning on running offensively, but I am because Jay Norvell was running the spread, and then he completely robbed them of all of their talent when he went to Colorado State. So I think there's probably just no continuity there either, and probably not a ton of talent.
I don't think he's doing the spread either. So I think if anything, this might be a tough year.
Start.
And then what's the toughest road trip in the whole Mountain West?
Smurf turf.
Exactly. And it's on the schedule. So
no,
go ahead.
I was gonna say the final 3 weeks at Boise, home to Air Force, and then like the thank you for Mountain West getting it right this year by having the Fremont Canyon.
Yeah.
Or Fremont Cannon in the final game of the season. But like the schedule's brutal. Schedule's absolutely fucking brutal. I don't even know that there's a for sure win because you get Hawaii at Hawaii. You get Eastern Washington. That's a good FCS.
For a team, if it was, say, who's the class? If it was Boise against the schedule, I would say they'd be 4-1 in their non-conference. But because it's Nevada and they're so bad and they didn't give themselves any gimmies, they basically scheduled like 4 or 5 losses in their non-conference for themselves. So yeah, they made it hard based on who they are.
True.
Yeah.
Look at Noah B in the chat saying the Mountain West is the new premier West Coast Conference.
You hear that, Long Beach State? Start your program.
Start your program back up. I think I underrated this when I ranked him. So I think Colby, you're probably closer to being correct. This is definitely a top half of the conference schedule here.
I mean, the only value is what you don't play San Diego State. You get because Air Force, Boise, and Fresno are all on there.
It's still kind of hard to rank them when there's an extra game.
True.
It's kind of apples and oranges at that point. But anyway, tough schedule. It's going to be a brutal, first year for the new head coach. Even if you think he's the right hire, I think it's going to take him a little while.
Colby, you said number 2. Nick, where'd you have that one?
I had it down at like 8, but I think I might have sold this a little short. I think it's tougher than I originally ranked it.
Folks, if you're watching on YouTube, stay put. We're not going anywhere, but on the audio side, we're going to the B side. All right, so catch the B side, and remember, as always, this is the college football experience. You better start thinking about yours, and we out of here. All right, we are back on the college football experience. Mountain West and Pac-2 season preview. Our conference release, schedule release season preview. Next up comes Bronco Mendenhall and the New Mexico Lobos. I love, Patty C, how long was I projecting this? I think it's been 2 years. But I've been saying Bronco Mendenhall.
Well, you've been giving us a few teams along that in
True,
the Mountain
but I think
West
the first
corridor.
one was New Mexico because he has ties there.
Yeah, that was definitely one of the ones that was
I know at one point I was like, hey, if Craig Bowl retires, Bronco with the Cowboys, it just fits.
Yeah.
The Wyoming Cowboys.
I thought Boise got mentioned a few times.
Yeah. Well, that obviously Bronco and Bronco. But New Mexico, I just was like, man, this guy started his career there. A big chunk of his career was at New Mexico. This was a home run hire to get New Mexico back to where they should be. This is
an unbelievable hire.
Yes. Like, I think P5 should have hired him. Bronco Mendenhall is, to me, he's like a top 25 head coach in college football.
Yeah.
To be able to land that in New Mexico, I don't know that we'll see this year it pay off. Maybe towards the back half of the season.
They were 4-8 last year. I mean, is he worth a couple more wins, or does he kind of just like clean house and build it up from scratch? Well, that's kind of what I see him doing.
Well, I also think this year's non-con is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Home to Montana State. What's that?
He's a culture guy. He's a tough guy. Like, I don't see him taking shortcuts and building a program. Yeah. So I think if like he's going to come in and say, look, it's my way or the highway. And if you ain't on board, get the fuck out, you know? So
100%.
I do see even though that their record this year might not be as good as last year's, I think he's, laying the foundation.
Oh, and I looked at the non-con here. And I'm just like, their first 5 games. Good luck. Good fucking luck. You get Montana State week 0, which is, to me,
it's a fun game.
They're a bowl team.
A much better team.
Yes. You're going to get fucked up by Montana State week 0. Then week 1, let's play at Noah Fafita. The only good thing is that Fish left, and maybe Brent Brennan struggles week 1. But still, Arizona's going to fuck you up. What, they win 10 last year, 10 games. Then the very next week at Auburn.
Well, you get a bye week in between.
Yeah, they get a bye week. They get that third bye week because playing the week 0 game. But still, at Auburn. Then they give you Fresno. You don't want Fresno this early when Bronco Mendenhall is just establishing stuff. And then after that, we're gonna go to Las Cruces to take on New Mexico State, Rio Grande rivalry. Man,
I think it's fair to ask what's their record in those first 5 games.
I actually think 0-5.
I'd say they pull
Maybe
one out. They'll pull one out. Between Montana State and New Mexico State, they get one of those.
New Mexico State was really good last year,
but they might not be this year.
Still, I don't know if
road trip.
Mendenhall will have it going by then.
I agree.
I'm favoring New Mexico State slightly on the road.
I had them at 1-4, but sure, could they be 0-5? Sure.
Then they get a bye week, then home to Air Force, then at Utah State. Mendenhall going back to the state of Utah. Then it's a back-to-back away set. They're at Colorado State.
Tough little back-to-back.
Yeah, then home to Wyoming, and then at San Diego State, and then home to Washington State, then a bye week, and then you go to the island. Now,
they'll be lucky to win 1.
They're going to win that game on the island, I think, because Mendenhall will have that team physical by then.
I think they get one more too. Maybe Wyoming at home.
2-10.
I'll say 3-9. So that basically they win one less game than last year. But like I said, it lays the groundwork.
Where'd you have the schedule ranked, Nick?
I had it at fifth toughest.
I had a hard time with it. No, well, look, I for my first when I went through first time, I was like, this might be the hardest because but part of me was thinking that because New Mexico is horrible.
Yeah, right? Yeah. It's hard to rank all these. Yeah. It really is.
But I mean, putting Montana State on the schedule, what are you doing, New Mexico?
Right.
Fucking Northern Arizona.
That's called not having options.
Yeah. They put this week 0 though. It's like, what are you doing?
It's actually a fun game. I want to watch that game.
Yeah, it is a fun game. I mean,
but if you're a New Mexico fan, you're saying, why? Can we get like an easy game to get prepped for at Arizona?
Yeah, 100%. Patty, see your thoughts on this schedule?
Bronco Mendenhall, by the way, one losing regular season in his entire however many years this is, 6 + 5 + 6. 17-year tenure as a coach. He has one losing regular season. It was his first year at UVA at 2-10. He quickly turned that around to 6-6 in the following season. I think this is going to be another one of those. I think it's a pretty tough schedule, especially for how bad they are. They're going to suck. He's
going to make them good, though. I'm telling you, I'm so disappointed that Jerry Kill's not at New Mexico State because I dreamed of this rivalry. I dreamed of the Mountain West expanding and adding New Mexico State and having this as the premier rivalry with Jerry Kill against Mendenhall for the next 10 years. All right, the next 10 years.
Would have been magical. What would be a magical season for New Mexico next year?
I think you're happy
Bowling?
if you just get to 5 and 7. I would even say you're happy, right?
Well,
You should
happy
be
and
ecstatic.
magical is a bit different.
You beat
Bowling-
Montana State, New Mexico State. That's 2. Maybe you knock off Utah State or Colorado State as an upset, get a third win there, and
Get
then
Wyoming on a new coach at home.
yeah,
Dude, if you
And
go
Hawaii.
bowling, if he goes bowling in
there's
year
no
one,
way. He goes. There's no way.
no.
Probably not.
It would be a miracle. That would be a miracle.
All right, let's switch over and talk about the San Diego State Aztecs, which this is what I'm saying. I think it's worth taking a future on the Aztecs. I think I fucked up the schedule a little bit when I put this in the Google Slides, but it's worth it to me because I think the schedule is fantastic for Sean Lewis.
Yeah,
Oh,
I had it 9th, so okay.
Well, the non-con home to Texas A&M Commerce, home to Oregon State, at Cal, bye week at Central Michigan, and then home to Washington State week 9. So they get Oregon State and Washington State, but both come into the snapper.
That's 3 P4s and a road trip in the non-con. That's not an easy non-con.
Dude, I actually think they could go undefeated. Hear me out here. Oregon State's bringing in a brand new head coach, just like San Diego State is.
Undefeated in the non-con or undefeated the whole slate?
Oh no, the non-con.
Okay.
Yeah. Now the Cal game, that's the one that's tricky. I think Cal, to me, but I think Wazoo week 9 coming down there's anyone's game. If they can get through Cal week 3,
Big A.
I fully expect them to beat the shit out of Central Michigan week 5. And I think they can get Oregon State. The fact that Oregon State lost so many fucking players and coaches from that staff last year, I think you get them week 2. You want to get them week 2.
Yeah.
So
I mean, could they go 5-0? Okay, but how they've looked the last couple of years, like.
But the defense and special teams is always good. If you can just get a little bit of offense.
But the question is, how quickly can that really get clicking?
Sean Lewis became Colorado's offensive coordinator last year, right?
Yeah.
Yes, and then he got benched. He got demoted.
But you know why he got
But
demoted?
the offense
He applied
exploded.
for the San Diego State job early. That's the main thing. Like,
Is
it
that
was-
a matter of
Really?
record at this point?
I mean, that's what I hear was that that's the reason why they found out that he.
That's pretty
interviewed-
shitty on Coach Prime's.
Well, to interview during the middle of the fucking season, they're in like week 6 or something.
Well, I guess
You know-
if he didn't tell Coach Prime beforehand, then it's on him. But if it's just like bitterness, anyway, we don't need to rehash that. I just think it might take a little while for the offense to get going.
No,
But it is
Colorado's offense
important-
got going last year. Colorado's offense was fucking phenomenal considering there was no one to block.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at.
But they also hit the portal extremely hard, and they had a lot of talent.
He did this
at
at
the
Kent
skill
State. Kent
positions.
State was horrible, and he comes in and he gets them scoring like 45 a game.
Against the MAC, not against Oregon State and at Cal, the first 2 games, 2 very
I'm
good
telling you,
defenses traditionally.
This offense is going to fly. It is going to fly.
X's and O's, don't necessarily the opposition doesn't matter that much. When you have that level of X's and O's, then it's going to work against whoever you play, unless they have an answer for it. And San Diego State has plenty of talent. In fact, I don't know that Oregon State and Cal have superior talent to San Diego State. If you have a coach that's superior to theirs, then San Diego State may look like the better team.
I'm just saying those have had very good defenses the last couple of years. Not to mention, shortly after that, you have at Wyoming, who another very good defensive team, tough place to play at.
Yeah, no. Once conference play starts, I think at Wyoming and at Boise are tough. I think they'll beat UNLV and Utah State.
Both of them back-to-back road trips?
I think they can get them because UNLV is a fake road trip. That's a bowl game, right? Air Force is a scary game, though. To end the season, I could see that.
Also, what kind of weather are you getting in Logan on November 23rd.
Fair. But I think if you're not taking a future on San Diego State, the only for sure loss to me is at Boise.
In the whole season or in the conference?
Yeah, for the whole season. For the whole season.
The reason why I like that angle is that it's going to be a very juicy future considering their record. They were last. They finished last in the conference last year. So that's why I completely agree with what you're saying, Colby. I just think you're a little bit higher on them out the gates than I am.
Realistically,
it might take a little bit of time.
Realistically, the Wyoming game is 50-50. I think they lose at Boise, and I think for some reason Air Force fucks with them week 14. I think
could see them losing at Utah State also. Well, but again, Patty, are we talking just for the Mountain West championship game? Because then the Cal game doesn't matter.
Yeah. Okay. Either way, I think you guys are vastly underrating how difficult this schedule is.
I'm not. Colby is.
I'm not saying it's like an absolute gauntlet, but I think it's pretty hard.
No, but Patty, if you want to take a long shot at winning the Mountain West, this does make some sense.
Sure, a team that was in the conference championship 2 years ago, yeah,
and has had no offense for 5 years, and all of a sudden the offensive wizard comes in.
This kid's juiced up,
and they don't play Fresno State. They don't even play Fresno State on the schedule. They don't have Colorado State, who I expect to be much better this year. Who's the third team they missed out on? They missed out on a third team. Is that Nevada? Okay, well, Nevada, that you would like that on the schedule.
Yeah.
But either way, I'm all over the Aztecs. I'm excited to watch. I think they're one of the most interesting teams coming into this season. Folks, I want to tell you that the college football experience, Mountain West and Pac-2 season previews, brought to you by Cut. Cut is a peer-to-peer social betting platform that's U.S.-based and available in 40 different states. P2P social betting is a new and better way to bet. Bet directly against your friends or other users on sports, politics, pop culture, and other events with verifiable outcomes. Plus, they got a ton of fun social features that will give it a feel of kind of a betting social network, so to speak. Cut offers lower vig and fully customizable odds as well. You can create your own bets and much, much more. So what are you doing, folks? Hop over to Cut. Download the Cut app today. That's KUTT.com. Use that promo code SGPN for a 10% deposit bonus. We're also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy is the easiest place to play fantasy sports. It's also the fastest growing fantasy app in the industry. Pick whether your favorite player will have a higher or lower stat total in this week's game for a chance to win big. And yes, you better believe they got college football. You can win up to 100 times the amount of money you enter in a single night. We're doing it every day with college hoops. So what are you doing, folks? Sign up today with the promo code SGPN and get your first deposit doubled up to $100 as well as an instant pickup special. All right, Underdog Fantasy with the promo code SGPN. All right, we are in the thick of it. Now we are talking Ken Niumatalolo, year one in San Jose, California. I had it as the 9th hardest schedule, meaning one of the easier schedules for Ken Niumatalolo. And Sparty in the non-con is home to Sac State, which is a hard FCS opponent to play. They beat Stanford, a P5 that the ACC welcomed. They beat them, I think they beat them like soundly, if memory serves me correct. They also play Kennesaw State, who is a brand new team to the FBS. They also play in Pullman, Martin Stadium, against Washington State week 4. The other non-con game is at Oregon State week 11 and home to Stanford week 14. Love the Stanford game on the schedule. Jack Elway, John Elway's dad, coached at both. Love that there. I thought the schedule was pretty easy. I mean, I know they're breaking in a brand new head coach and they probably shouldn't expect a lot of success, but I still thought the fact that you still get Boise and Fresno on the schedule and Air Force, 3 of your elite schools, but at least
2 of those on the road.
Yeah. But at least you get Boise in San Jose late in the year.
And then to have to go at Oregon State and at Wazoo, and this is one of the easiest for you.
Mainly, I mean, you get Kennesaw, you basically have 2 FCSs.
I mean, you had it at 9th, I had it at 7th, so we're not too far off. But I mean, first off, they totally screwed the Mountain West, screwed San Jose State, sending them on the road for both of those games against Pac-12 opponents.
but they don't matter in conference play. They only have 4 road games in
Right,
conference.
but we're not talking just in conference. We're talking about the whole schedule. The whole schedule is pretty tough. And then you throw in one more P4 in Stanford, and you got a pretty tough damn schedule here.
Sacramento
have
State,
record, but yeah,
Sacramento State 8-5 last year. We thought there would probably be a pretty big step back after they who was Stanford's coach that grabbed San Jose State's head coach.
I'm John Blank. What the fuck is his name?
Stanford's coach.
Former Cal quarterback. I'm drawing a blank on his name right now.
That is
That's what happens in March.
Yeah, no, that's what happens when you have a son that's screaming fucking 24 hours. Troy Taylor.
Yeah. But either way, Troy Taylor took them, they were elite, Sacramento State, and then they lost him. You'd expect a big step back, 8-5 in year 1 for the new coach. Maybe they're back into a 10-win type of team. That at the FCS level, that's not necessarily a win off the bat.
Agreed, especially with Niumatalolo breaking in a new offense and defense. It's a scary game to me.
And then week 2, you have to face a triple option on the road.
Week
That's
2
very,
and
very
3,
tough.
but what better guy than Ken Niumatalolo, though?
Good point. Yeah, maybe that's why they hired him.
Yeah, they're like, hey, we got 2 triple option teams, week 2 and week 3.
Manage the first 3 weeks of our schedule.
But overall, it's going to be very challenging for a first-year head coach, I'd say.
There's no way they go bowling. Let me build a case they go bowling. Sac State win, Kennesaw State win, Nevada win, right? They upset either Colorado State or Wyoming.
Sure.
That'd be 4 wins, and then they get UNLV and Stanford.
Man, that's tough. That is tough.
They could be UNLV.
See what I mean? I mean, to say this is like I had 7th and you had at 9th. Yeah, this is not an easy schedule by any means. So I think the Mountain West schedules across the board have gotten tougher this year with the addition of these Oregon State and Washington State games. Yeah. Especially for this team who has to go on the road for both of them.
Their
It's insane.
FCS opponents. When you're playing Eastern Washington and Sac State and Montana State, fuck you guys doing over there? Put Southern Utah or Dixie State or fucking Northern Colorado on the schedule. I know one of the teams in Northern Colorado. Who was it? It was Colorado State. Colorado State's ahead of the curve on this.
Dude, there's no doubt every Mountain West team schedule got harder. You're essentially adding 2 Power 5 teams to your schedule. Sure is one of you're replacing a Mountain West team with a Power 5 team, and you're replacing a non-conference team with a Power 5 team.
No.
But it still looks like most of these teams have all the other Power 5s still on their schedule.
Yes. And that's the problem. And they better bring it up. Like, in my opinion, the AAC and Sun Belt, if they have an 11-1 team and you have a Mountain West team at 9-3, their schedules aren't comparable to me. The Mountain West team has played a much harder schedule.
And that goes back to my point about how this might have been a mistake in the immediate future of doing this agreement because they're gonna have much tougher schedules. So
we'll see about the East Coast, the West Coast.
The East Coast. Yeah, sure. No, and so the other thing is I just looking at this really quickly. I think only 3 teams play both Wazoo and Oregon State. But Boise has both of those games at home, and San Diego State has both at home. So San Jose State is the only one that plays both of them on the road, especially with these 2 schools. The home road makes such a huge difference.
Yeah.
Because Oregon State and Wazoo can beat anybody at home, and they can lose to almost anybody on the road.
To be fair, the Mountain West, they hosted Oregon State last year, week 1. That was part of a scheduling deal. They already had to go to Corvallis before this was put together. So, I think it's tough sledding, but I still had it as 9th.
If anyone's going to be the redheaded stepchild, you mentioned only a couple teams that don't have lit environments, San Jose State being one of them. They're probably going to get treated with the least respect of any of these teams from a scheduling standpoint. So maybe, but I do think your point about them already having to go to Oregon State, maybe there's an excuse there.
Yeah, I think so. Let's jump on over to the UNLV Running Rebels, which I had as the hardest schedule, and I think I can't wait for these markets to open on the group of 5. I'm going to be all over the UNLV under because they play 4 Power 5s in the non-con. Good luck. And you get Fresno and you get Boise. Get the fuck out of here. You hope you had fun, Barry Odom. You milked that 1 year. You lost your starting quarterback to USC. I'm sorry, but I think this is the hardest schedule, I think. The fact you get that many P5s. Now, granted, you get a shitty FCS or somewhat shitty FCS in Utah Tech. So the non-con is at Houston. Now that is Willie Fritz's first game. Maybe you can pull the upset. Week 2, home to Utah Tech. Week 3 at Lance Leipold in Kansas. Bye week 4. Then week 5, home to Jeff Tedford in Fresno. Then week 6, home to Syracuse. ACC represent. Then a back-to-back away at Logan and at Corvallis. Then you come home to Boise. Whew. The first 9 weeks of the season, honestly, they could be 1-8.
But it lightens up big time.
Yes, the backside is nice, right? You get a bye week, then you're on the island, taking on Hawaii. Then you're home to San Diego State, which a game I think they lose. Then you're at San Jose State, who beat the piss out of them last year. And then you have the Fremont Canyon Trophy, which I'm going to make the case, Nick, that you want to catch Nevada early.
True.
Because Choate on the final game of the season, I think by then they'll kind of understand what he wants offensively and defensively and what the football team is. Good luck, Reb fans. Good luck.
I had it at third hardest. And again, we're, splitting hairs here, but this is so much tougher than a year ago. I guess with me, a lot of those P4 teams, they were just kind of average ones like Houston and Syracuse. But still, for a team like UNLV, great year last year. Now let's see what you can do up against this schedule.
And like I said, getting the new coaches that late, Niamontalolo and Choate, week 13 and 14, I think it's a terrible break for them.
It's true. That's true. Those are definitely coaches you want to see week 1 and 2 instead of the last 2 weeks of the season. 3 non-conference Power 5s essentially at Houston, at Kansas, at
4.
Oregon State.
No, 4.
4.
Oregon, Syracuse too.
Well, road Power 5s, I should say.
Oh, okay.
That's how bad is it for Syracuse that they have to go to UNLV?
Well, Syracuse brought in like 7 Georgia Bulldog transfers and Kyle McCord. They're good. That's different now.
That's true, but
the ACC does this shit. I don't know why. It's not. They don't have to, but they do it.
Idiot.
Yeah. It
good
is.
for UNLV. I hope they beat Syracuse at home.
Well, it's funny, Nick, because Stanford plays at San Jose State, and now they're ACC. You could say the same thing. There was a Pac-12 thing.
Well, it was ACC and Pac-12. Yeah. They both did this more so than any other conference, playing away games against G5 schools, and it continues.
Lo and behold, you fucking lose to a subpar group of 5 on the road. It's tough.
You need to pay attention to the SEC schedule in football and the Big 12 schedule in basketball, where out of conference they have the easiest slates.
He's beginning to learn. What does he say in the Matrix? This schedule is brutal to me. I think it's the hardest in the whole entire Mountain West.
It's rough.
Even a trip to the islands, it's a far ass trip for them.
Now that they have a bye week though.
True.
So you got plenty of time to do that travel. So that the bye weeks are thrown in here nicely. If you want to say the one good thing about the schedule is that the bye weeks are thrown in pretty nicely.
Sure.
The one little thing.
Yeah, the bye weeks are nice. Let me be devil's advocate too here. If you took this 5 years ago, right, and the schedule didn't belong to UNLV. If this was Boise's schedule 5 years ago, would a road trip to Houston be so daunting? No.
Yes, it would. Because
Houston was good, but not
5 years ago. They went 13-1.
Okay, well, they had one really good year, yes, but the rest of them were like 8-win years. Okay,
but now
yes.
This is their second year in the Big 12, so you would think they've been able to load up a couple better recruiting classes.
And Willie Fritz brought like 30 transfers with him from
yes. Okay, it's a hard game now. What I'm saying though is that 5 years ago it wasn't such a hard game to go to Houston.
And neither was at Kansas because Kansas sucked.
Neither was at Kansas, neither was at Oregon State, and neither was Syracuse. So it's not like they're playing fucking juggernauts that have been juggernauts for a long time. It
Yeah.
just so happens that three of the four power conference teams that they're playing are pretty good right now.
What
But
we're
if
talking
you're-
about this year.
Yeah, and also if you're going to do that, 5 years ago, Hawaii with Nick Rolovich was winning 10 games a year. Utah State was also rolling.
San Diego State was better 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, you can't sit there and say
Nevada was better 5 years ago. So,
Certainly
yeah,
better 5 years
there
ago.
isn't
It's
some
ridiculous.
element of truth to the fact that like a program supersedes or at least is as important as what you project for this team this year.
What would you
these
set
are
that
not.
line at Kansas, Patty C?
They're going to lose by 25.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I'm just saying.
Lance Leipold's the most sought-after coach in college football. He just turned down the Washington job. They played in the
There's
national
not one blue blood on
Yeah.
the schedule, and yet you're calling it the hardest schedule that any Mountain West team has to face.
Well, I would call Boise State a blue blood.
Okay, fair.
They have
no.
they have the longest win streak.
Yeah,
in
they
America.
had probably as many undefeated seasons as any team in college football since 2000. So I'll give you that.
I guess you can say some teams in this conference have at Michigan or at Oregon or what was the other really tough one?
At Texas.
At Texas, yes. Yeah. So are those much tougher than at Kansas? Yes. But for
I don't know
UNLV
about this year.
For UNLV doesn't matter. They're not going to win
I'm
any
sorry.
of those.
To me, going into this year, Kansas and Michigan are the same level. Michigan lost everybody and their
I agree.
coordinators.
Not quite the
Kansas,
same level, but close.
Not quite. But I mean,
you want to make a wager? You want to make a wager who wins more games this year?
Oh man, Patty
Michigan's
C,
got a really hard schedule, though.
Yes, that's what I'm
interesting
saying. Kansas
that
is
is
going to be better than Michigan this year.
You guys just won that national championship, Patty C. You're not going to take that bet?
No, I'm not going to take that bet because one team plays 5 playoff level teams and the other team plays what? None.
You guys just went 15 an hour.
Don't try and bait me. All right,
You're afraid of Kansas?
Let's fucking move off of UNLV.
Unbelievable. All right, let's move over to Utah State. Look, we gotta speed this one up too.
Yeah, we do.
Home to Robert Morris at USC. Home to Utah. The battle of the brothers is back. Then a random game at Temple. I guess they didn't want anyone to see that game. Then their other game is at Washington State week 11. That is a tough non-con, especially the random Temple game in there. Hilarious. But getting USC, Utah, and Washington State, the only thing that saves it is Temple and Robert Morris because Temple lost E.J. Warner. I think Temple's going to be a bottom 5 FBS team this year. So Temple and Robert Morris save it to me. But obviously the meat of at USC, home to Utah, and at Washington State is part of the reason why I have them as the 4th hardest schedule in the Mountain West. You also got to go to the Smurf Turf and Laramie, and Fort Collins to end the season. And you still host San Diego State and UNLV, who were very good. Oh, I guess UNLV was last year, but San Diego State over the past 10 years. NC Nick, where'd you have this one ranked?
I had it exactly at 4th also. So we agree. It's a tough gauntlet, man. Out of conference, in conference, you name it. A lot of tough road trips. Even like the one road trip that's easy at Temple. So it's still across the damn country, So coming off a tough Utah game
too. Yeah,
right. So this is a very tough. I mean, at least they get Utah at home. Can they have any magic there? Probably not.
Cam Rising is in, and their tight end, Kuthi or whatever, is coming back. They're they're both 30 years old.
Oh, this Utah team might be really good this year.
Yeah,
pulling a
So
BYU.
probably not. So it's a tough schedule, man, for sure.
Patty C, what do you think? Blake Anderson, can he get the Aggies back to the Mountain West Championship?
Well, 3 years ago they finished number 24, 11-3, followed by 2, 6, and 7 seasons. In his 7 years at Arkansas State, only one losing record, and that was his last year when obviously there was tragedy. He's a really good coach, but and he's had recent tragedy too, right? What happened? It was his son this time. Before it was his wife. Now his son died of cancer. 2, 6, and 7 seasons.
I think his wife died of cancer and his son was
committed suicide.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's really hard to coach under those conditions, but his track record shows that he's a really good coach. maybe, a year or two removed from this. It's fucking really sad to even. I don't know. I don't want to make a drama of this, but that is talk about a coach who's had like the worst fucking run of luck ever. I hope things go well for him. I think he's a really good coach, and maybe it's time for things to go in the right direction for him.
And when I talked to him in Vegas, hell of a nice guy too, man.
I've always liked that program. I always root for them,
Yeah. It's just a tough schedule, though. I mean, what's the best case scenario? I mean, I'm looking at like a 6-6 season here. I think they could win some of those 50-50 games against, UNLV or Wyoming or Colorado State, but
it'd be hard pressed to see more than 6 wins here.
Yeah.
USC and Wazoo on the road, and then Utah at home. Fucking brutal non-con. Going bowling again would be a nice year for Blake Anderson.
And last year, I think they went 6-6.
Yeah. And now let's talk. They get rated in the portal. That's part of the reason why they get rated in the portal. Their best players go elsewhere.
The bowl season is probably terrible for them.
Yeah. Let's talk about Wyoming. The Wyoming Cowboys. Me and NC Nick were there. Love Laramie. But Craig Bowl, he's gone. He says, I'm out of here. You have the fun with this transfer portal bullshit, separation, potential. Jay Salvell coming in, who was their defensive coordinator. Let me tell you, their defense was nasty over the past few years.
Yeah, that's been their identity.
Yeah. Now, this schedule I like. Okay, if you're telling me Arizona State looked pretty good towards the end of last year, but still, if I want to get them at all, I want them early in the year because they've been recruiting well, Jaden Rashada and stuff. Let me get Arizona State early. Then they're so the non-con is at Arizona State week 1. Week 2, home to Idaho. Watch out. That's a good FCS. Home to BYU, and then at North Texas. And then they have the season finale in Pullman. Loved BYU, Wyoming back on the schedule. That's an old school rivalry.
Would you argue that all 5 of those are winnable, or would you chalk up Wazoo as not winnable?
I think Wazoo is the one that's probably not winnable.
Yeah.
I think BYU and Laramie, good luck, BYU.
Yeah.
I don't think Wazoo's unwinnable, but it's a very, very tough road trip for a team like Wyoming.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might as well, if you're going I think it's unwinnable to go through that non-conference slate undefeated. I think that's impossible.
Right.
Yeah.
For sure. Especially being Wyoming.
3-2, 4-1.
Yeah.
Even that's generous. At Arizona State, at Wazoo, and BYU on the slate, 2-3.
Dude, no.
I think they win both home games.
These Power 5 teams that come to Laramie, they have an unbelievable record against Power 5 teams in Laramie.
I think they win both home games. So that just means just beat one of the 3 opponents, which it's not easy. Arizona State, Wazoo, North Texas.
Yeah.
I'd say they might be able to get one.
Wait. So the non-conference slate is at Arizona State versus Idaho versus BYU, at North Texas, and at Wazoo.
Yeah.
So at Arizona State is not an easy place to play.
Yeah,
BYU period is, and they're not going to
beat BYU.
Yep.
You're crazy.
No, Patty.
You don't give enough respect of Laramie, man.
They have a new coach in his 3rd game.
He's been with that program forever, though, man. He's been with Craig Bowl.
It's not like BYU has sucked recently. BYU's had some pretty damn good seasons.
What makes you think BYU is winning that game? Like BYU last year was not very good.
Okay, they might win that game. Wyoming might win that game, but it's not a shoo-in. BYU coming to Wyoming.
I am favoring
coin toss at best for Wyoming.
No, I bet you the spread will be Wyoming -3.
It's almost a coin toss.
I don't know if the spread will be that. I think because like last year it was Texas Tech -9.
They were 17-point favorites, right, or something crazy.
I thought it was 9 or 10, but I'm not positive.
But I mean, the track record speaks for itself.
Right.
SEC has a losing record in Laramie over the past 30 years.
All right, let's give them 3-2.
But no, Patty, they could be 2 and 3. I think it's one or the other.
Yeah,
they can also. To me, Arizona State, that's a winnable game for Wyoming.
I mean, shit. Yeah, I mean, if it's a great transition, there's not one of those games that's not unwinnable. But
to me, like I think it's a great transition just by keeping him there. You know what I mean? Like it's not like they went out and hired somebody. So I kind of, and this is like I said, a long time Craig Bowl assistant. He was at North Dakota State with him. Anyway.
2 and 3, 3 and 2.
Yeah.
In conference, just for the audio side, at Arizona State, then home to Idaho, home to BYU, at North Texas, home to Air Force, bye week, home to San Diego State, at San Jose State, home to Utah State, at New Mexico, bye week, at Colorado State, rivalry game there, home to Boise, and at Washington State. The final 3 games are brutal, but I still thought it was a pretty favorable schedule.
Well, when you see it, in conference, you only have 3 road trips, right? And at San Jose, at New Mexico, at Colorado State. Obviously, Colorado State, the rivalry game, that's tough. But the other 2 road trips, that's as easy as it gets.
And Colorado State hasn't been great. What was Colorado State's record last year?
5-7, I think.
Right.
Those are all winnable road conference games,
especially in a rivalry game where anything can happen. But the other 2 are as easy as it gets as far as an in-conference road game.
We don't know much about Sawtelle, but Bowl, obviously a proven commodity. Do you expect much of a drop-off, either of you guys?
No. It's a senior.
For me, I don't know. For me,
they have a lot of experience. To me, like his defenses were legit. I thought it was a great hire.
At the same time, Craig Bull was a perfect guy for that job because it's a tough place to win. It's a tough place to bring talent to. So we don't know much about this guy. He's never been head coach before. So the jury's out. We'll see.
If they're very similar to the team they were last year, then maybe maybe
he's also got ties to Dave Clawson.
Okay,
he's been around a couple of really good head coaches. Let's see if he can do it himself.
Yeah. Let's see. All right, let's jump over before we get out of here and get to the Pac-2. But before we do that, I want to tell you that the college football experience is brought to you by Manscaped. Top of the morning. This episode is brought to you by St. Patrick's Day, Shamrock Shavers, Manscaped. This year, don't just chase rainbows. Make your own pot of gold and groom your little leprechaun with the leaders in below the kilt care. Say goodbye to your clover forest with Manscaped's Lawnmower 5.0 and let that confidence shine bright. Embrace the luck of the Irish and join the 10 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped. Head to manscaped.com. Use that promo code SGPN for 20% off plus free shipping. I got to be honest, ever since I Manscaped, well, I've been kicking ass. I can proudly say I found my pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, if you know what I mean. All right, so what are you doing, folks? Check it out. They got all this. It's got LED lights so you can navigate your shamrock patch in peace. You got all that good shit. All right, trimming the hedges in your Irish garden just below the kilt. You're going to figure it all out. It's perfect with the Lawnmower 5.0. Get 20% off plus free shipping with the promo code SGPN at manscaped.com. That's 20% off free shipping with the promo code SGPN at manscaped.com. This St. Patrick's Day, make your little hairy leprechaun luckier than ever with Manscaped. We're also brought to you by Champs. Champs is hosting a free March Madness bracket contest for a chance to win $1,000. Plus, if you host your own March Madness pool on Champs, you'll get an extra free entry into that bracket contest. Tiebreakers are determined by who enters first, so make sure you get out there, register now. Head to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/champs. Once again, that's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/champs. We're also brought to you by Hall of Fame Bets. Win bigger by betting smarter this NBA season with Hall of Fame Bets, a sports betting analytics platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Research every NBA and soccer bet with historical stats and data. Stop betting in the dark and join over 30,000 users researching with Hall of Fame Bets to craft more intelligent, data-driven parlays. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit HOFBets.com. Use that promo code SGPN to get 50% off your first month today. Start research and start winning with Hall of Fame Bets. All right, we're back on the college football experience, and I see 356 people watching this live. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button. Let's fucking go. And let's talk about the Pac-2. Everyone disrespected the Pac-2. I love the Pac-2. All right?
I love the name. The name itself, the Pac-2.
My Oregon State Beavers. I love this program. I love this team. Fuck everybody else. All right, I want them to win it all. Look, the non-con. Well, actually, let's just go through the whole schedule because they have this deal with the Mountain West.
The whole schedule is the non-con.
All right.
Yeah, pretty much.
Except for Wazoo.
Yeah. I thought they would schedule Wazoo twice. Didn't happen. That would be hilarious. Week 1, they get Cody Hawkins. I've done polar bear shots with him. And Idaho State, the Bengals in Corvallis. See, that's how you're supposed to schedule your FCSs. Week 2 at San Diego State. Week 3, you got the Civil War. They moved this shit. This should be the final week of the season. If you're listening to this, you fucking losers. Not Oregon State's fault. Week 3, Civil War bullshit. All right, it's in Corvallis.
Oregon's fault.
Yes.
Fuck
the Big
Oregon.
Ten. The Big Ten.
Fuck the Big Ten.
Yeah.
Fuck Oregon.
Yeah. Week 4, they head to West Lafayette at Purdue. Watch out, Purdue. Week 5, they get a bye. Week 6, home to Colorado State. Week 7, they head to Reno, Nevada, the biggest little city in the world. And week 8, they host UNLV. Have fun, UNLV. Week 9, hey, thank you, Cal Berkeley. They still got their heart in the right place. They still want to play, good old Oregon State. They head to Berkeley, old Pac-10 rivalry there. Then they get a bye week, and then home to San Jose State, then at Air Force, then home to Washington State, then at Boise. Final 3 games. Whew. But I mean, I understand they're replacing everybody. And when I mean everybody, I mean everybody. But Damian Martinez, I think, stayed as last I saw.
Good running back.
One of the best running backs in college football.
Martinez was a badass. Yeah.
Now, look, on the positive side, like their schedule this year is a whole lot easier than last year. No doubt about it.
Yeah.
The question is who's left and how good is the coach going to be?
Well, and to me, if they had gotten Oregon where they're supposed to get Oregon week 14, then you're thinking maybe that could be a game. But to put all those new faces week 3, you're like, fuck.
Tough, man. That's again, I said it earlier in this pod. I'm high on Oregon this year. I know, in Corvallis, Oregon State can pull that magic some years. I don't know if it's gonna happen this year. That early in the season, I don't think so.
Yeah, it ruins it a little bit, man. The rivalry should be late in the year.
Right.
I mean, when we're looking at last year's slate, 3-point loss against Arizona, a 2-point loss against Washington, who went to the playoff and almost went or did go to the national championship. Yeah, a 3-point loss at Wazoo. This was a super good team last year. Those were 3 of their 4 losses or 5 losses on the season. I guess they got whooped by Notre Dame after everyone left, and then they got shellacked by Oregon on the road on the last game of the season. Still, it's really hard to project where this, like you said, Jonathan Smith gone.
Everybody, their OC, both starting quarterbacks that started games, their entire defense is at Michigan State.
Are they they're just not at all the same team they were last year?
They lost 40 fucking players, man.
I mean, but especially with an easier schedule, I could still see them winning 6 or 7 games.
Yeah.
I mean, just because other than the Oregon game, they might win every other game at home.
Which would be Idaho State.
I would favor them.
Colorado State. UNLV.
Washington State's the only one that would get them.
Potentially. Purdue.
That's not at home.
No, I have it being showed at Corvallis.
Really? I thought it was at Purdue. Is that at home?
FBS schedule says in Corvallis.
Oh, that's a loss for Purdue then.
Right, because they went there last year, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
They beat them at Purdue.
That's probably a loss for Purdue. Who's the head man at Purdue right now?
Ryan Walters, the former
boy.
Former Colorado Buffalo for Gary Barnett. But they're a work in progress. Anyway, I mean it's going to be an interesting year.
It is.
Mike says San Jose State's going to beat them.
I don't know if I see San Jose State going into Corvallis.
Off a bye for Oregon State?
Yeah, I don't know about that, Mike.
Let's talk about the other half of this conference. The Washington State Cougars.
The other half of this conference.
Look, I got the Mike Leach flag on the corner. YouTube.com/the
Look at that logo too with those 3.
That's from the 1910s.
Wow.
They were first in the Pac-10. See what you ruined, you fucking losers out there.
I can see why they got rid of that 3 thing.
That's swaggy.
I'm trying not to say anything that will get us canceled. So.
Hey, and Washington State's good friends of ours. They're good fucking friends of ours. They've been good to us over the years. So the schedule: week 1, home to Portland State. Week 2, they better do a Mike Leach bobblehead night there or something. Week 2, home to Texas Tech in Pullman. Week 3, Apple Cup. Come on, put this on week 14, you filthy bitches.
Jeez.
Yeah.
And if you didn't notice, last year was at Washington. This year's at Washington. So their days of going to Pullman, I think they're done. Fuck you, Washington. Week 4, home to.
That can't be true. They can't just be playing in
Why would they
Seattle
play 2
every year?
games in Seattle?
Hopefully it's not every fucking year or a 2-for-1 situation.
Oh, if I was Wazoo, I just wouldn't play it then.
What a disrespect to this rivalry. That makes me sick, if that's true.
I mean, only been going on for 100 years,
Yeah.
Right.
But
Conference
more so,
realignment.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
But Fox
Then,
News said so. Or
yeah,
Fox Sports or ESPN, whatever.
Fox News too. Week
Yeah.
4, San Jose State comes to town. Week 5 at Boise. Week 6 bye week. Week 7 at Fresno State. Week 8 home to Hawaii. Week 9 at San Diego State. Week 10 bye. Week 11 home to Utah State. Week 12 at New Mexico State. Week 13 at Oregon State. Week 14 home to Wyoming. Love the final 2 weeks there. I think they could have a really good year. They brought in this FCS quarterback from Bryant, Ziva Ekos, and he's kind of nasty. I'll see it. It was, they were the first to do this FCS thing with Cam Ward, and the whole world
out
was
pretty
like,
well.
hey. It's going to be interesting to watch, but this is one where watch out. If they can get, with Washington losing everybody now, I think they can beat Washington at Washington.
Seattle.
They kept Jake Dickert. Who's more intact?
Makes it interesting. Makes it interesting.
It wouldn't be crazy. I mean, the week 5 had Boise's the fucking killer. They needed Boise and Pullman this year, in my opinion. What's your thoughts, Patty? I know you lost your we lost eyes on Patty.
I guess my computer's gone. You guys can't see me, but a week 5 in Pullman.
Yeah,
against
or no,
Boise?
the whole schedule. The whole schedule.
The whole schedule is tough. I think it's really tough. But week 5 in Boise is very tough. But I think
those road trips in Seattle,
at Fresno,
at Boise, at Fresno State, and then
at Oregon State.
Yeah.
And look, but last year Wazoo had 10 P5s on their schedule. This year they have 3 P4s. So it's easier.
Both of these teams with their fucking future in limbo performed amazingly last year.
Mike says Wazoo might not lose a game. He says the over-under should be set at 10.5.
I think Mike's been drinking more than us. I think Wazoo's going to go defeated.
Jake Dickard 3-3, 7-6, 5-7 last year. I think 500 against this schedule is reasonable, right?
I think there should be like 8-4, something like that.
Yeah, I could see that kind of. I mean, especially what they do against like Texas Tech and Washington.
Well,
give me one of those, and we can get off to a pretty
really
nice start.
Like they should be favored in every game at Pullman.
Yeah, for sure.
So right there, if they handle business there, that's 6 wins, and at New Mexico would be 7. Can they pull an upset on one of the other ones? I think it's likely. That'd be 8. I think 8-4, 9.
They started 4-0 last year, then hit their bye week, and then lost 6 in a row.
But who'd they lose to? They're all really good teams, though, right?
UCLA, Arizona, Oregon, yes, pretty good teams. Arizona State, not that good. Stanford, pretty bad. Cal, meh. But a lot of these are like.
But Cal was a bowl team a year ago.
Stanford 3-point loss. Cal on the road 3-point loss. Washington on the last game of the season they lost by 3. This is
the national championship.
Tell me, like, what kind of like bowl tie-ins does the 2 Pac-2 teams have? Like, are they considered an independent like Notre Dame, where they could potentially make the college football playoff? I don't think we have to worry about that this year. I mean, other than Mike, who thinks they might go undefeated. I just want to know, like, what's going to happen to these teams. Say they're 7-5, 8-4, 9-3. Like, I guess they're just going to go to some bowl game, but like, I don't know. It's going to be interesting.
No potato bowl.
Yeah. All right, folks, that's our show. Make sure you give Patty C a follow on Twitter at PattyC831. NC Nick's on Twitter at NC__NICK. I'm on Twitter at TheColbyD. The College Football Experience is on Twitter at TCE on SGPN. Check out the FCS College Football Experience, the College Basketball Experience live every night, the College Baseball Experience rolled along, and the Sports Gambling Podcast. which I'm on in about 5 minutes here. So until next time, this is the college football experience. You better start thinking about yours. And we out of here.
Run and shoot. We can really run and shoot.